All right, we should be good to go. Send an announcement. All right, I think that we are all set. Hopefully I have a new camera. Hopefully it's doing all right. Welcome, welcome. I like to think that the new camera is really clear. Maybe you can see my pores. The debate is already posted. It's on my debunking channel. Let me just make sure that everything's set up, and then I will bring on my first guest. Testing. Okay. All right, we should be good in... All right, I think that we are perfectly set up. Yeah, so am I all hydrated? I am hydrated, thank you. All right, let's bring on our first guest. Their name is Toe Muncher. Toe Muncher, how is it going, my guy? That was weird. But okay. All right, let's bring on this person, whoever this person is. This person. How you doing?
What's up, brother?
What's up, Home Slice?
I'm doing good.
Glad that you're doing good. Do you believe in God?
I believe in God, yeah.
Okay, and which one would that be? Oops.
Christianity.
Christianity, you say?
Yeah.
Okay. And why?
You know what? I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's just because I grew up with it.
I mean, look, I guess it's a good reason to, like, be in that culturally, but the question is, why still believe it?
I think it makes certain things worth living for, you know?
Can you elaborate on that?
Gives you more of a reason, I guess, to do good, if you know. You're trying to...
With respect to, like, you're afraid of going to hell kind of thing?
I guess, yeah.
I mean, doesn't that mean that if you do good because of that, you're not actually doing good?
Possibly. I mean, I think it's more of a, if it still comes from the heart, you can still do something from the heart and still hope it's for a good reason, you know?
Well, sure, but then you don't need the fear of hell to do that.
Yeah.
So why have the fear of hell?
I don't know, man. I feel like churches, they emphasize that too much. The fear factor of it, instead of the love factor of it all.
But then, look, so what does Christianity provide as a reason to do good things?
Probably a sense of community. I'm not really super active in it. I wouldn't say I'm a huge active member, but
how does that justify doing good? Like, how does that encourage you to do good?
I don't being brought up in a Christian household, they always say, the Bible tells you to do good, and you know,
Okay.
there's a lot of influence in it.
Well, all right. I don't really know where to go with this, so I'm gonna let you go. But thanks for being here.
Yeah, you seem chill.
Thanks. All right. Before we move on with the next guest, I actually have to take care of something really quick. I need to make sure that we can actually show our TikTok guests to our TikTok users. Sorry, to our YouTube users, and then we'll move on to the next guest. So I just have to essentially just move this thing around. That's because I never actually got this. I didn't set this one up. 800? 1,000. And then 500? Nope, not 50,000. 600. 700. 700. And then I just gotta crop a little bit more. Say 400. I just gotta place this in just the right place. Almost. Actually, you know what? I could just... You know what? I'll deal with this later. Not gonna worry about it.
Oh,
Dylan,
hello,
how's it going?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
Yeah, Don, do you believe in God?
Yeah, I do. I was a Christian a lot of time. Like,
And what would you say is the best argument for such a being?
I think everything in our world is like pretty much not a coincidence if you think like it.
So you think that it's just nothing's a coincidence? That's...
Yep.
How does that get you to a
Because
God, though?
if you sorry for interrupting you. If like you see in science we believe in a Big Bang, like everything was started from a Big Bang, and everything is like that. So I don't really believe in this.
How does that get you to a God, though?
Because if not a Big Bang, then who would create a world?
Look, so you can believe that a Big Bang happened, but without believing in a God, right?
I can believe in a Big Bang, but I can't believe in God.
What I'm saying is you can believe in a Big Bang without a God. They're not necessarily related to each other.
Oh, maybe. I think God created the world. It sounds more like... It sounds pretty much better, but I think no one can really convince you that God is real, because everyone God is their God, and they believe in it because they are searching for some support in like religion.
Look, like, if you just came on because you wanted to say that you believe in God for XYZ reason and that you don't think that you can convince me to believe in God, fine, I guess.
I think no one can convince you to believe in God, because everyone's God is their God, and they believe in it because they are searching for support in a religion.
Okay. Thanks for being here then, I guess.
Yeah, it was...
All right, let's bring in our next guest. Allegedly Ian was in here for some reason. I don't know why. All right, let's bring on our next guest. They are Washivoy something.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How's it going, Washivoy?
So how can you not believe in a God when I'm literally right here?
Oh, you got me. I've been had. User with a bunch of numbers, how's it going?
Hi, I don't know if that's me.
That is you.
Can you hear me?
I can. How's it going?
Oh, okay. So I was raised in a Muslim household, and I got married as an adult to someone who was raised in a Catholic household. So I'm not trying to convince you that any certain God is real, but to me, I think ultimately I believe in a God because of the fact that you cannot have something from nothing.
Okay. How does that mean there's a God?
Energy is neither created nor destroyed. And
Okay.
there
Then
has to be
that sounds like
something,
it sounds like
because
it means that God
ultimately
never
we are
made the
energy.
universe. Look, so how do you think that saying
So if
energy
we're
can never
energy and we are being
User, hold on. Is there something I should call you? Is there a name that I can refer to you as?
No, it's fine.
Okay. So look, when you say energy can neither be created nor destroyed, like, we could go down that rabbit hole if you want, but if you believe that that's true, it sounds like you don't need a God in order for the universe to exist, because God couldn't have created the universe.
No, so that is
Oh, you cut out.
energy.
Sorry, you cut
When
out for a second.
science
Can you repeat
tells
that?
us energy can't be created or destroyed.
Can you repeat that? You cut out.
So God is the explanation for why in fact we have energy when science tells us that energy cannot be created or destroyed.
So are you telling me that God created energy?
So how else can we? Yes.
But
How
you just
else
said
can
energy
you
cannot be
explain
created.
How energy, except by the explanation of a God.
So energy
That's
can be
why
created
you
or destroyed.
have to have something to. I'm saying that is, for religious people, God is the explanation for why that is true.
It seems like the reasonable thing to, if you believe that energy can't be created or destroyed, then it seems like the reasonable thing to conclude is just that the universe has always existed.
But we know that's not true. Science tells us that's not true.
How do we know that's not true?
Because science tells us that our universe is growing and moving and came from some nucleus of power, i.e. the Big
And what was
Bang
before
theory.
that?
Well, religious people will tell you God is before that.
Well, why can't you just have more?
Explain,
Why can't you just have more stuff before that?
because science tells you that can't be true.
Does it? Who says that?
Yes, science says that.
Science says, well, science doesn't say anything, right? Scientists say things, but setting that aside, I mean, where are you getting this info that science says there can't be anything before the Big Bang?
That is the whole theory of how our universe was created.
Maybe if you asked people 40 years ago, that's not what it is today.
No, that is the theory today, that there was some sort of explosion of energy, whether that be it from a black hole or some other source, and then all of a sudden we have our universe created from this moment.
So the Big Bang wasn't an explosion, and the Big Bang as a theory is completely silent on what came before it. It doesn't say that nothing can come before it. It doesn't say that something came before it. It just doesn't say anything about it.
Yes, absolutely it does. And the
Where?
way that you can... Okay, so why don't you... I think we're talking across each other. If your theory is that, do you believe that you can have something from nothing?
No.
Okay, so then how can something always have been?
Because then there was never nothing.
Right, but you're not, but that's impossible, right?
Why is that impossible?
Science tells us that is impossible, that you
How
cannot
is that
have
impossible?
always had something.
What law of physics says that?
Okay, I don't think you're having a serious conversation, because obviously you are saying that you believe in the Big Bang Theory, which is this
Yep.
theory that our universe was created at this moment of
No,
time.
that's not what the Big Bang Theory is.
Okay, then why don't you
You're a little
explain
bit out
to
of
me
date.
what the big why don't you explain to me what you believe the Big Bang Theory is?
So the Big Bang Theory is a model, it's a cosmological model that describes the universe 13.8 billion years ago being very small, not infinitely small, but just very small, and then expanding from that small state to where it is now. And it describes how it expanded and the rate at which it expanded and so on.
Okay, where did that small state come from?
The Big Bang says nothing about it. It's completely silent on the matter.
Okay, so science says, so if you're an atheist, you say, well, we don't know what happened before that date, so we're just going to make up something that happened because there's no
We don't have to make
explanation
stuff up.
for it.
We can do science to figure it out.
You do,
right?
because no, science has not figured that out.
I'm not
Science
saying it
not
has. I'm
figured
saying that we
out.
can. I'm not saying it has. I'm saying that we can do science to try to figure it out, right?
Well, at this point, science has not figured it out.
Yeah, there's no definitive
And
answer
there is
yet.
no
Sure.
explanation, and there is no explanation how you can get something. You cannot have something that always has been here, always will be here,
Why not?
because science tells you you can't create something from nothing.
If something was always here, then you didn't create something from nothing.
But something cannot have always been here.
Why not?
That's the point.
Why not?
Because where did it come from?
If it has always been here, it didn't come from anywhere. It's always been. Coming from something means that
and
it had a
always has
beginning.
been, and religious people will explain to you the always has been is because of God. Because science cannot explain that.
I just don't understand. Well, I mean, look, you can totally well describe scientifically a universe that's always existed. There's no issue there. So I'm just curious
That's
why.
untrue. That is untrue.
Sure, you can.
No.
You absolutely can. On what grounds do you think it's untrue?
Science cannot explain.
I didn't say explain. I said describe.
Of something. Science cannot describe the existence of something that has always been, or
Sure
has
it can.
come from nothing.
It absolutely can. In fact, like this is one of the most common views amongst cosmologists, something called the eternal inflation model, which is a model that describes a universe that has always existed, and our Big Bang is just one Big Bang in a series of infinitely many.
Right.
This is like one of the most mainstream views that you have amongst cosmologists. So yeah, you absolutely can describe such a thing. Now, we don't have definitive proof that this is absolutely what happened yet. That's why we're still doing science. But like to say that like, oh, science says that you can't do that, like that's just not true.
I think we just have different understandings of what science has.
I agree. Do you have a
Describe.
science degree?
No, I don't.
Okay, so I have a PhD in physics and I work in cosmology. I'm very familiar with what the science is, what the state-of-the-art scientific investigations are. So, I mean, I do agree that we do have a different understanding. It seems like your understanding is about 40 years out of date.
I disagree with that, and I think that your
Okay.
description. Okay. I think
I
we
mean,
agree
like-
to disagree. I think
like,
ultimately
would you-
you don't have you don't have a scientific explanation. You have theories, and you can call your
Yeah.
theories which are unsupported at this point in time.
Oh,
and I
I'm
think
sorry,
you
is
would
it
agree
God
with me,
supported?
but- No, but what I'm saying is that people who are religious will say that support is God, and people who are scientists will say we don't know.
Yep. Which one's more honest? The one that claiming that something is true without support, or just saying we don't know?
Well, I think that both could be. I think both can be honest.
I mean, I would say
think
that
one is where you have faith, and then the other is where you lack understanding and you try to fill it in by research, I guess.
So would you say that it is not honest? And I don't mean dishonest in like the amoral way. I mean like you're not like, you know, being honest with yourself in some sense. Would you say that it is not honest in that regard to then say, oh, well, you know, the science says XYZ when such claims are unsupported. But at the same time, say, you know, there's a God that did this, and those claims are unsupported. When you could just contrast this with say, oh, we don't know, when the claims are unsupported.
Right, but I think that we don't know. I would agree. We don't know, and that's where faith fills in. And in science, you don't know. So you're saying I don't believe because I don't know, and religious people say I believe because I don't know.
Why would you believe something that you don't have support for?
Well, I'm telling you, ultimately, because there are these unanswered questions, and ultimately, you cannot have something from nothing, which I
You
truly
keep saying
believe.
that, but that nobody's saying otherwise. Nobody's saying otherwise.
Science has never been able to
Nobody's saying otherwise.
formulate.
Like, we all agree. We all agree. Nobody's saying otherwise.
Right, and so ultimately, the original thing, religious people say call it God, and science doesn't have an explanation for it.
What original thing?
The original thing that always has been, always was, because science will tell you that something cannot come from nothing.
Sure. I just don't, like, look, if we agree that, like, we don't know what happened before the Big Bang, we don't know, like, we just don't have any data on it, we don't have anything to support it, I don't know why you would ever hold a belief about it. It just seems like you should hold beliefs based on things that you have reason to believe. Oops. And if you don't have reason to believe things, then why would you have that belief?
All right, I think we're just talking past each other at this point, so thank you. I really appreciate the conversation.
Okay, thank you for being here. Oh, we have a lot of guests. We have somebody, let's bring up somebody named Sniff Glue Daily. Also, we don't have any super chats yet, so we can't read any, but you guys know what to do. Get on that.
Hey, man. I can't hear you. What's happening?
How you doing?
Oh, I figured it out. Hold on. I am an Orthodox Christian, but
Just as a quick check, how old are you, Sniff Glue?
Oh, I am 18.
Okay, great. Continue.
No problem. Yeah, I'm from an English-speaking country, so I am an Orthodox Christian, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I still believe in this faith, although I feel like it's not for long at this point, is because of holy people. Like, we display them in our like fucking churches. And how can someone be in the ground for like wait a minute. This is about the creation of the universe. Holy shit. Wait, no. I can't hear you anymore.
God damn it. That's my fault. It doesn't have to be about the creation of the universe. It could just be about whatever reason you're religious.
Yeah.
Or whatever reason you believe.
For, like, several hundred years, and then they come to someone in like their dreams, and they dig them up from the ground, and they smell good. They leak healing liquid, and I don't know, like they haven't decomposed. How is that possible?
So, look, I mean, suppose for a moment that we don't know the answer. How does that mean that God's real?
Well, I don't know.
Right? I mean, like, there are a lot of things that we don't know in the natural world. Like, I don't know, what's at the center of a black hole? But that doesn't mean there's a God that's there.
I don't know. They were good Christian people, so that's how they explain why they haven't decomposed.
But what about all the good Christian people who have decomposed?
I haven't really thought about that, but
It's okay.
maybe they didn't do like something that they were supposed to do. that we weren't taught. I don't know.
So the only people that do this are the only people that like supposedly do this are like the kinds of people who are saints, right? Like that's like the whole business of saints. Like you have a few saints that have this strange property where they don't seem to decompose or whatever. And by the way, like some of them are like not real, but you know, setting that aside, is it your claim that those are the only actually good Christians?
I mean, no, but
because then it doesn't seem like being a good Christian is what you need in order to not decompose. It seems like you need something else. And the only reason I say this is consider, why would it be the case that only the ones that people that, you know, a pope says is a saint, that this happens to? Like, that seems kind of weird, right? Because, like, surely there are going to be people who are, like, saintly, very, very good people that just go unnoticed by the pope, go unnoticed by the church, just because most people go unnoticed by everybody. And so it seems very, very strange that the only people who don't decompose are the people who are being cared for, the people whose bodies are being cared for by the church. Isn't that weird?
I mean, it kind of is weird. Do you think they're doing something to them behind the curtains?
Well, we
Like,
know
I
that
know
we
that-
know that they're so like there was a recent do you remember there was a recent kid who was canonized, right? He was like the first Gen Z saint
yeah,
or something
like-
like this.
I
Yeah, the
think he was a
gamer.
millennial, actually.
Yeah, or maybe he was a
Yes.
millennial. Yeah, the gamer. So if you go look at his body, you'll see that it's like not decomposed. And then if you look closer, you realize that it's actually fake. And they'll tell you that it's fake because they want him to look respectable. They want him to look, you know, beautiful even in death. And so they like he has like a fake face. It's like a
So
mask, right? And so like this is like
You
this
think it-
like they will tell you this, right?
So you think they fake the corpses?
So look, what I'm saying is that at least in some of the cases, they do this on purpose and they tell you about it, right? They like preserve the body. And so just how then people can come pay their respects and not be disgusted, right? This is like a totally reasonable thing to do if you're trying to like, and let me give you an example. Vladimir Lenin, his body has been preserved. So, and he died like, you know, a long ass time ago, like 70 years ago or something like this in the USSR. His body has been preserved, so you can go look at it and pay your respects. So like it would make sense that the church does this. Now, I know that there are cases that people like to bring up of like, oh, you know, this saint from the 1400s still hasn't decayed. And if you go look at the body, it's just a mummy, right?
So you think all of them are mummies?
Well, look, so usually a human body, if you bury it in the ground, will turn into bones in a, you know, maybe a decade. And those bones will disintegrate within 50 or 100 years. That's normal in like, you know, wet part of the world or whatever. But if you, and maybe I got the Vladimir Lenin's over 100. Wow. Okay. Maybe I got the years wrong as far as how long it takes to decay. But the point is if you bury a human in the sand in Egypt, they will dry out and their body will be preserved forever. So there are going to be some cases where you have these, you know, these saints, these Orthodox saints, these Catholic saints, whatever, where their body has just been naturally preserved by the environment that they died in. There are other cases where we know that the church is preserving them. And I'm sure that there are some cases where we're not going to have a good explanation for them. But I don't know how not having an explanation means that there's a God.
I just think hold on. I think it's in human nature to kind of explain something you don't know with an ancient deity, but
Well, I agree.
at this point, it's the best explanation.
Well, hold on. I don't know if
Like,
it's the
I don't
best
know what to
explanation.
do.
So look, I agree that it's in human
You need to
nature.
think about this, man.
I absolutely agree that it's in human nature to assign agency to a deity when we don't have an explanation. I agree. That's a very common thing that humans have done throughout our entire history. But every single time we've done it in the past, we've been wrong, right? Like we've always gotten it wrong. I mean, just think of like the example that I usually give is like, think of the ancient Greeks, right? They didn't understand how lightning worked. They didn't have an explanation for what lightning was. So they conjured up a man on top of a mountain who was throwing lightning bolts. And that was their explanation. And for them, it was a perfectly good explanation. And then we figured out how lightning works. And now we don't believe in Zeus anymore. So this is just, like, I agree. We do seek out explanations and we do attribute it to a divine being. I just don't think that that's ever a good idea to do.
Yeah, seems like a bad idea, but I'm confused, man.
That's okay. Being confused is
I
kind of the
feel
natural state of
I feel
affairs for people.
obligated. Hold on, I feel obligated to believe in a god. Like,
Why?
I don't know how to explain it. I just get this weird feeling whenever I question it.
Oh, well, that might be religious guilt. It's a pretty common thing.
Yeah, I think it is.
I mean, hey, look, I'm not going to tell you that you can't believe. I guess just good luck on your journey, man.
Yeah, thanks. Hold on. Someone asked
sure.
a question. What kind of evidence would it take for you to start believing?
It really depends. So, I mean, I'm a human. So, like, if I had some, like, incredible experience, I would probably just believe, right? Like if Jesus appeared in my living room and, like, you know, me and my wife could both see him and then we pulled out our phones and we could record it, like, I would probably believe, right? So, like, some experience like that would certainly convince me. Now, you know, just seeing, like, going to a church probably wouldn't convince me, but there's probably something in between the two that would.
Right.
But if I knew what would convince me definitively and it already existed, I would probably already be a Christian, right?
Makes sense. Like, I was about to call you, like, don't you think you would, the first thing on your mind would be like, holy shit, I'm schizophrenic. But yeah, then you said your wife and the phone, and that's like some pretty credible evidence. That
yeah, I mean, look, like if I saw something and I was alone, I'd be like, what's going on with my head? And I'd probably check myself into like a hospital or something. But like if my wife was there and she saw it too, and then I checked my phone and it was on that, like, I don't know. I would probably believe it. Like, maybe I shouldn't believe it. Maybe it's more reasonable to say, oh, well, it's all just one big hallucination, but I'm human. I'd probably believe it.
you'd still believe it.
Yeah, probably, yeah. And then I would come on here and I would argue against atheists, and they would say, but it was just a big hallucination. I would say, look, I can't explain it to you, but it seemed so real.
Yeah. Well, I don't know at this point. You said a sentence that like the only one that kind of struck with me. What if the nature conditions made the bodies not dissolve?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You think that's possible? You think that's happened before, like in just dirt and mud?
Yeah. So
you think it wouldn't?
So there's actually, and it's actually like really remarkable. So where was this? I think this was in like Scotland. Like I don't know, sometime in the last 50 years, someone pulled a body out of a peat bog in Scotland. I think it was in Scotland. It was somewhere in Europe. And the body was like 5,000 years old and it was like perfectly preserved. Because sometimes like the environmental conditions can do that.
Hold on. How perfectly? Like
as perfectly preserved as like the. So when you you'll hear about like these perfectly preserved.
They displayed only the hand of the person, and he had a ring, and his skin was like pitch black, and I was like, why is it like that? If he was supposed to be perfectly conserved. Why is it like that?
Yeah, so it's closer to that. So it's preserved in the way that a mummy is preserved, in the way that like a lot of these ancient saints are preserved.
Right. But this guy was completely preserved.
He was preserved like a mummy.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah. A
So
lot
like,
of people
like
are
not,
saying
he didn't look like we were still alive. He didn't look like he was still alive, right?
Right, I figured. Well, I think that's all from me, and a bunch of people are asking for the next person. So,
All right.
goodbye, I guess. There's
Good luck,
this
Sniff
guy
Glue.
that's like Muslim, so pick him next.
All right. Take
Bye,
care.
man.
He was a young guy. He just needs guidance. All right. So there was somebody who said, "I'm a Muslim. Let me go," or something like this, and he wanted to come up. So, I should read some super chats really quick. So from Nectu, From Nectu, we have here. Take my money with the $5. Thank you so much. As always, it means a lot. I appreciate it. From Peter Hegwood with the $5. I don't know, and finding out is too hard and scary, so God did it. Well, look, I mean, that is a natural human response. It's just, it's a habit. It's a habit that's hard to break. And so I understand why people appeal to that. It's just, we have to get people to think really, really hard about it. From Josh, we need a rebrand of the Big Bang to the rapid expansion. I'm tired of all of the something from nothing assertions. Yeah, unfortunately, this is the world we live in, and names are hard to change. From Supreme, pronounced Supreme. Note, stop dodging debating Ian. Oh, I will debate Ian all day, every day. I will fold Ian like a chair. From Tim Bimbadil with the $5. What is the YouTube equivalent of 100K TikTok likes for Dr. Blitz to let his hair down? I haven't decided yet, because we can't, likes on YouTube are hard to come by. Probably something like, I don't know, 300 likes or something like this. I don't know, though. And then we have Nobody on Fire with the $10. Blitz, excellent debate last night, my dude. Yeah, so actually, if you didn't see this, let me leave this up. If you didn't see this, I did a debate with some guy I've never heard of. His name is Chad Status. He did a debate with Planet Peterson last week. And in that debate, he pretended to know a lot more physics than he does. And that made me upset. I don't like when people pretend to know physics when they don't. So, and the host asked if I would debate him. So I did last night. And I think it went really, really well on my end. I don't know how well it went for him. I don't know how he thinks he did, but anyway, if you want to watch it, go to the Debunks channel, the Dr. Blitz Debunks channel on YouTube. You can watch the live stream there. It's like 4 hours long or something like this. Oh, and from Nucleotidal Wave, great job last night. Your patience with Chad was admirable. Yeah, his name is Chad. All right, let us move on to another guest. Now, who was the person that was the Muslim fellow who wanted to come up? Does anybody remember? Anybody know their name? Oh, okay, it was this guy. I cannot read Cyrillic.
Hey,
what should I call you?
My name is Adam.
Adam. Okay, great.
Yeah,
great, Adam. So you are Muslim?
Yeah, I'm Muslim, yeah.
Okay. And what would you say is the most compelling argument you have for the existence of the God that you believe in?
Okay. So I believe that God exists, right? And God is real. And you believe the opposite, right? You believe God doesn't exist.
Right.
And then I give you that if God does not exist and we're here, then clearly this is a contradiction. I'll tell you why.
Please.
Because if there was nothing, let's say hypothetically, there was a room, and this room, it's completely dark. There's no light, nothing is inside of this room, right? There's nothing in there. So now your ideology, your principle, you're saying that it is a possibility that something will happen in that room, right? But in my sight, I would say, if this room is completely dark and there's no source of light, there's nothing in and out, nothing can happen in this room unless there's a superpower or a creator, or there has to be a God, right? In order to something happens in this room.
I'm sorry.
Now,
so how does this correspond to my view?
Yeah, I'll tell you why.
Please.
Because again, it goes back to our principles, right? about the contingency and dependency, and then goes back to cause and effect, right? So if we say that something happens, it has to have it has to have every single effect has a cause. Can we agree on this?
Yeah. Okay. We can say yes. I have some contentions with the notion of causality in
what's
general,
the
but we can
contention?
say yeah.
Can you tell me the
I mean,
contention?
we can't demonstrate cause and effect. This is something that was proved by Hume, and we don't really use the language of cause and effect when we do physics anymore. It's not really a thing, and it hasn't really been a thing for like 150 years, or maybe 100 years or so. So it's plausible that like this notion of cause and effect is just confused to begin with. But for the sake of argument, and because
this is
of the
a
way
big
that we
statement you just made, by the way.
Please, I was in the middle of a sentence. So, but for the sake of argument, I think it's still useful to use the language of cause and effect in everyday conversation so that we can talk about like physically occurring events that are related to each other spatially and temporally. So we can use that language if you want, but I think that there's good reason to be skeptical of this idea.
Yeah, but that's the whole point, right? I want to talk about cause and effect because I can prove to you that every effect has to have a cause.
Okay.
Unless
Can you
if you
prove it to
tell
me?
me, yes, if you
Go
allow
ahead.
me, right? I don't know why you started panicking. Like, just
If you think I'm panicking, then like I don't know, man. But go ahead.
wait. You just told me to like don't talk when you were talking, and you're doing the same thing.
I
Anyway,
apologize. I do have a problem with interrupting, and I'm working on it. So you'll
I
have to forgive me.
apologize as well. So all I'm saying is this: that if it's a possibility for a cause to happen without any other cause, then this is a contradiction. Because then another cause could happen without another cause, and then basically this cause that you're saying existed without another cause, it's actually a fallacy. It does not make sense in philosophy. I'll tell you why. Because
Hold on. Before you do that, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you said that you can prove that every effect has to have a cause.
Yes, it has to by law of logic and law of physical.
What's the law of logic that gets you there?
I mean, I don't know if you, but do you? Just to confirm it, do you believe in law of logic? Right.
I think that there are certain propositions about logic that I agree with. Yeah.
Well, to me, you're rejecting a lot of things. Now you're saying it is a possibility that law of logic doesn't exist out there. If that's the case,
What do you mean?
wait.
So like,
My
I don't
next
think that
question is-
propositions exist
doctor,
out there at all.
Doctor. My next question: do you believe you actually exist?
Yeah,
Do you
sure.
believe you exist?
Yeah.
Can you prove to me you exist?
I can't prove it to you. I can prove it to me though.
How can you prove to yourself? Okay, go ahead. Prove
I can
yourself.
just use the cogito.
Okay,
So
do it.
I can.
Do
So
it for
so
the
I can.
audience.
Well, no, I can't prove it to anyone else but myself. Right. That's the whole
So you
business
don't
of the
need-
cogito.
Okay, so you can't prove to me that you exist.
Well,
Even though we're
probably not.
talking
I
right
mean,
now,
like you
and
could
we're
be.
living in the same reality.
So
right?
Adam, you could be globally skeptical, and there'd be no way I could provide you a deductive argument where one of the propositions, or sorry, one of the premises you could reject. Where, let me rephrase. If you are a global skeptic, you could reject at least one of any premise I provide you that would lead to a deductive conclusion that I exist.
Which can you give us a model?
Of like a deductive argument. So,
Yes.
for example, this is not the kind of thing that a global skeptic would accept. So let me give you. So, premise one: if you can have experiences of me, then I exist. Premise two: you have experiences of me. Conclusion: I exist. Now, a global skeptic could reject premise one. They would say just because one has experiences does not mean that the things that the experiences point to actually exist. So like you could hold that position. I don't think that you should, but you could.
Okay, just to be clear for the audience, right? Because you're using a lot of big words and people are getting confused. You're saying
Don't do that. My audience is quite sophisticated. If you're getting confused, you can say that
no
you're getting
problem.
confused, and I can explain it to you.
That's not how a doctor should talk, right? You're being very like disrespectful right now. Look,
You're grandstanding. Stop it. Just be
okay,
normal.
I am. Look, you're saying, okay. Let me just, because I'm a little bit lost right there, right? If I'm standing next to you, in front of you, right? Let's hypothetically, if I'm right in front of you, do you think it's a possibility that that's not me standing in front of you?
So a global skeptic would say yes. I'm not a global skeptic.
But what are
A
you?
global skeptic is. I'm just not a global skeptic. It's not a property. It's not a philosophy I adhere to.
Okay, if global whatever, right? If you believe in this position in this model, one second.
I don't believe
What?
that. I'm not a global
Okay,
skeptic.
that's okay. Okay, but can you affirm that you do see me, right? I exist, right? If I'm in front of you.
Look, I absolutely believe you exist, 100%.
Okay, exactly. So how come you say I exist because you see me, right? And when I tell you that we see the earth and we see the creation of God, therefore there has to be a God to create the creation.
I'm sorry. This is a
that's one of
huge
the-
pivot. You were
It's
originally
not.
going to
You're not
defend how
letting me
every effect has.
finish.
Look, you're pivoting. You were going to defend how every effect has a cause, and then you pivoted to, can you prove that you exist? And I let you pivot there. And then you pivoted to, oh, well, we see the earth, and that must therefore mean that there's a God. If you want to run away from proving that every effect has a cause, logically or physically or something like that, by all means, but I'm just going to make you acknowledge it.
I'm not running away. I'm actually trying to go back to my
Okay.
point, but
That
I want to
every
clear
effect has a
things
cause?
out, right?
You're going to prove that?
Every effect has a cause, yes.
Okay, prove it. Still
Okay.
waiting.
Okay, so when the creation was created, which I know you don't believe this, you believe the creation always existed eternally, right? Right?
I lean that way, but I'm not like convinced. I don't have a high
So
credence in the
you're
video.
not even atheist, you're agnostic.
No.
Just say you're agnostic because you don't
No,
know
I'm
if
an atheist.
actually...
I don't think that a God exists.
Okay, no, I'm talking about the creation. You're saying...
I'm agnostic about whether or not the universe is eternal. I'm not agnostic about whether or not a God exists.
Because if you say the universe is not eternal, right, then you're testifying against yourself. Then there has to be a power to create the universe. Think about it, what I
No,
just
that
said.
doesn't follow.
Okay, can you present an argument against it?
Yeah, I can just give you an example of a model that doesn't require a creator being, but instead does have a finite past. So it's called the Hartle-Hawking state. It was proposed by Stephen Hawking and James Hartle back in the 80s. Their explanation for the origins of the universe, if you will, is that if you wind the clock back enough, about 13.8 billion years or so, time gives way to space. And so there is a first moment of time.
Can you define time, by the way?
You can just say it as a way of distinguishing between temporal or actually, sorry, I was defining change, not time. You can define time as a part
measurement
of a
of change,
mathematical.
right?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, so
why don't you agree with
the
that?
way that I'm referring to time is in a mathematical sense. And there's a mathematical character that a temporal dimension has that a spatial dimension does not. In particular, it's called the signature of the dimension. The signature of the temporal dimension would be negative. The signature of the spatial dimension would be positive. That's how we distinguish between time and space. Anyway, the model proposed by Stephen Hawking and James Hartle is that if you wind the clock back enough, the temporal dimension gives way to a spatial dimension. And so there is a first moment of time. It would be the first moment where there is a temporal dimension. And quote unquote, prior to that, if you keep going back in that same direction, you only have space. But that space is timeless. It's not eternal, it's timeless. And so you have a timeless state that gives rise to a time-full state, that time-full state having a beginning.
Wait, sorry, my boss just called me, and I really apologize because I was at work. I was actually having really fruitful conversation. I really like talking to you, man. You're a good guy. Let me pick up this call because this is very important. But maybe I can talk to you later. Thank you, man.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
I actually believe him. All right, we have a super chat from Brian Peck with the $5. It was rather odd listening to Chud Status run 4 simultaneous half-fill bro arguments. Would you do a post-mortem video of the debate? Probably not. It was a really long debate. Just go watch it if you want. Actually, everybody should go watch it. So if you go to the Dr. Blitz Debunks channel on YouTube, it's called Dr. Blitz Debunks, you can go watch the 4-hour debate with Chad Status is his name, with Chad Status last night. It is, honestly, I think that it's probably entertaining. It'll probably be entertaining for a lot of you guys. And I need that channel to get more watch time. We are currently at 2,000 hours of watch time, and we got to get up to 4,000, I think, so that I can monetize the channel. So make sure to go watch it. I guess all we need is 500 people to go watch that debate, and you guys should be able to, yeah, see it, I guess. Anyway, let's bring on our next guest. Our next guest is Revolt from Within. Revolt, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing all right. Do you believe in God?
Yes, I do believe in God.
And why would that be? What's your best argument for it?
I think human evolution is what has created religion, and human evolution is what created science. And I feel like these human evolutions throughout history is what's made us consciously aware of that we might not be just here alone. So I think that religion comes from an evolutionary standpoint.
But you believe in God.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Why do you believe in God?
I would believe like probably my own personal experiences. I think there's some things that I just wouldn't be able to put a finger on it, and I would like to go into it, but it would be too long. Like testimony, my testimony. But I would think that another thing is the limitations of science. Also, kind of to me, I would see that it would be proving that God is real, or at least having a lot of scientists be agnostic for the reason that there's a lot of limitations to where you can say, hey, this is what happened, or the theory, or it's kind of like the chicken before the egg.
Hold on. So how did the limits of science mean that you should believe in God?
I think the limitations of science proves that there's no real answer. So then
why would you believe in a God?
Well, this is where faith comes in. If you have faith in God or you have faith in science, they both are faith-based. I mean, if you really think about it, they both have faith in something.
How is science faith-based?
Because, like I said, the limitations of knowing who created this universe or how it was created is definitely faith-based. Like you have to have faith.
What's the faith claim that, say, scientists have?
I would say that the faith that they believe in would probably be that God isn't real, and there's an explanation.
How is that a faith? How is that a faith? And let's say that they're not like you said it yourself. Lots of scientists are agnostic, so that they don't even believe that God isn't real. They just don't hold a view. So then, how is that a faith?
Like I said, it's the faith because you don't have. It's just theory. There's no concrete evidence, so you have to have faith.
What's just theory? Science? Science is just theory?
No, science is definitely not theory because I mean, if we can. So then
you said that you can either believe in God and put faith in it, or you can put faith in science. I don't know what you mean when you say put faith in science. What does that mean?
I mean, I'm trying to say what it is. I mean, you have to believe that what your theory that you're putting out and what you believe that theory is, that it is wholeheartedly felt that theory is true.
No, you don't.
But
you can look for evidence for it.
That theory.
Wait,
you can't prove that.
What are you talking about? The whole business of science is finding evidence for hypotheses. That's the whole business. Where's the faith in that?
Well, the faith would be that if there's no concrete evidence, like you said, like can you prove to me that God isn't real, or can you prove to me?
What does that have to do with science? You said that that believing in science is faith.
Definitely.
How does that follow?
I don't know.
Where's the faith component in believing that science works?
The truth. I think seeking the truth. I think
how
that's
is that faith?
It's gotta. I don't know what do you want me to say?
I'd like you to say that. Oh well, I was wrong. Believing in science is not faith because it's evidence based.
It is evidence based, but
so
like
then how's it faith?
But the limitations of science can only go so far. So you have to have faith in the theory that you believe in.
No, you don't. Look,
theory would be
Revolt. You're confused. So if it's the case that science has limitations, which plausibly it does, then all that means is that you don't hold any views beyond what you can access scientifically, right? Like you don't have to hold views about things that go beyond the capabilities of science. You just don't have to hold views about that. There's no faith involved in thinking that science works. It's just like what?
So it's basically
It's
what you're saying.
evidence-based. It's an evidence-based mechanism.
Sure. And well, I think that's I really don't have any much argument to that. I mean, I don't. I mean, it goes to the same thing of I think we'll just be going back and forth to speaking that, well, saying what your truths are and my truths. So, and you obviously already stated the fact how the only way that you would be able to be convinced. So you already spoke on that, and I'm not trying to convince you.
I didn't say the only way I'd be able to be convinced. I gave an example of one way that I could be convinced.
Definitely, and honestly, that would be that would be amazing. But yeah, yeah, I don't know, man. I think that's all I wanted to really say, to be honest.
Okay, well, thanks for being here, Revolt.
Thank you.
All right, let's bring on the next guest. I don't know why my Video Ninja link is not working lately, but it is what it is. All right, wow, we have a lot of guests in the guest box. Let's bring on Lucas. Oh, is this the same Lucas that I spoke to last week? Lucas, have we spoken before?
It is.
Lucas,
Yes.
Then you can't come on. I try to speak to new people every week.
Oh.
But thanks for being here,
Okay,
Lucas.
no worries. Yeah, for sure.
I try to speak to new people every week because that way then it's more interesting for everybody else, and otherwise we just end up rehashing old arguments. I don't know why it's showing my shoulder. Oh, it's showing my shoulder because there's no guest. Or because Brian's not connected. Oh, Brian, can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Can you hear me?
Yeah, for some reason, one moment. Let me try something. What? For some reason, your name tag is not working. But that's okay.
That's all right. They can call me Brian. It's all right. I don't.
All right, Brian. All right, Brian.
How
Do
you
you believe in
doing,
God?
Doc? So, I think the last guy, when he was trying to make the point about faith and science, there's a lot of science is theory because, you know, we've never been to the center of the earth. So the theory is it's molten lava and, you know, they create this math, but we've never been there. So it's a theory. You know, gravity, the theory of, you know, it's a theory. It's a faith in somebody's research that says X plus Y equals Z. And some other people say, yeah, it makes sense. And now
Do you think
it
that's
makes
how
sense
science
to
is
everybody.
done? Do you think science is just like, it makes sense and not like, oh, we need evidence for this?
Well, to a degree, no. I do believe some of the science goes with where the money is. Like, it always baffles me how, you know, Einstein gets all this praise and 90% of the people in the world can tell you Einstein and this and Einstein that. But Einstein, in my opinion, was nothing compared to Nikola Tesla, which is 90% of the reason why we have so much of the technology we have now.
Oh boy, you smacked a hornet's nest, my guy.
I know.
So can you name 3 patents that Nikola Tesla is responsible for?
Absolutely not.
Okay, can you name 3 inventions that Nikola Tesla is responsible for?
I would say, let's see here. It would be the AC current.
Nope, didn't invent that. That was
He didn't
invented by
invent it?
Hippolyte Fizeau like 30 years before Tesla was born.
30 years before Tesla was born.
Yep.
So what are the possibilities that Tesla didn't know that it existed and he created something similar?
Well, he did know that it existed because he was using all of the techniques used by his predecessors, and he was communicating with them and reading their work. He was taught by them, etc.
So you don't believe Nikola Tesla was as intelligent on that level? And
I
we
don't think that. I
benefited-
don't think so. He may have been very intelligent. Like, I'm not gonna try to compare IQs or whatever. He wasn't nearly as influential. He didn't make nearly as big of an impact as Einstein did. It's just true.
So if I was Thomas Edison and I have all my millions of dollars and I got someone like Nikola Tesla who's nobody, and with my money I can take advantage of anybody. I can take anybody's and put anybody where I see fit, and if they don't like it, then they can disappear. And it's been all through history that the money has the power. And Nikola Tesla, in my opinion, being a humble person, was like, well, if you want this, I'm not going to put up a stink. You know, if I'm working for you and you're going to take advantage of me, it is what it is. He was that humble guy that was like, all right, well, I'm going to let you say what you want about me because I know the truth. And he took his truth to the grave, in my opinion. You know, in science mainstream, they always demonize all aspects of anything that goes against the mainstream. It's been like that.
I mean, that's not true, though. Like,
no?
When was the last time you looked at a scientific journal?
Oh, God.
My guess is never, because most people never do, right? And that's fine. Like, you're not obligated to if you're not a scientist. But, I mean, it's merely the fact that, like, most of the stuff, at least in the journals that I publish in, most of the stuff in there is, like, super speculative and super, like, anti-status quo. And most of it doesn't work out. But some of it does, and that stuff's really, really cool. And then it gets, like, a 1,000 citations, and the person gets famous, right? Like, that's just how that works. Right? It's just a mistake to think that, oh, well, you know, you can't publish outside of the main, like, of course you can. It happens all the time.
It does, but if it's something that, and I don't know, I guess my only, I guess you could say example would be, you know, I know a lot of people said he was a kook, but Zachariah Stitchin and his, you know, deciphering or helping to decipher the Sumerian language. And when he came out and said all of the crazy stuff he said, they're like, oh, no, it didn't say that. But, you know, I haven't looked myself because a lot of documents are sealed for if you're a student or a PhD in, you know, ancient literature or whatnot, you can get access pretty much. But from my understanding, he had a big part of helping to decipher that language. And they just took out the extras that they didn't want.
Are you talking about like which language are you referring to?
The Sumerian.
So Sumerian was understood in the 1800s.
Understood in the 1800s.
Yeah.
It was founded, in my opinion, that's when they found Sumeria, is in the 1800s.
Like, no, we had like tablets that were translated by the 1800s.
By the 1800s?
Yeah, like we're talking about like cuneiform, right? Like I can go find the date for you, but yeah, this is like I'm fairly certain that. Okay, yeah. So there's an article on cuneiform decipherment. The decipherment of cuneiform began with the decipherment of Old Persian cuneiform in 1836. There was some stuff done in the early 17th or in the 17th and 18th centuries. Actual decipherment did not take place until the beginning of the 19th century by George Friedrich Grotefend in his study of Old Persian cuneiform. He was followed by Antoine Jean Saint-Martin in 1822 and Rasmus Christian Rask in 1823. Like we've been doing this stuff since the early 1800s. Like this is not. Stitchin absolutely did not contribute to like translations of these or Stitchin did not contribute to translations of this kind of stuff.
No.
Apparently not, because it was already translated like before he was born.
Yeah, that is yeah. Well, why I got you here? We're more on to the. What do you feel about the double slit experiment?
Probably not. It probably has nothing to do with consciousness, and I don't think it says anything about spiritual stuff at all. But look, I mean, it seems like you came on and you wanted to talk about like scientific theories and stuff, but like, you just seem confused about how science works, right? Like science isn't just like, oh, here's a cool idea and then everybody believes it. It's like, here's a cool idea, let's go test it and see if it's true.
Yeah, I understand. They do try to do that, and they do try to make their best hypothesis on every theory they put out there. And, you know, I mean, it's still, a lot of it is just theories. You know,
what do you think a theory is?
A guess on what it is. Like, to me, gravity. So I've studied a little bit of science. I used to want to be an astronaut. You know, we spent it, 1,066 miles an hour traveling in our solar system, 28,000 miles an hour around through the solar system or through the galaxy with the galaxy traveling 1 minute. We got all this movement.
A theory is not a guess.
The what?
A theory is not a guess.
A theory is not a guess.
That's not, like when scientists use the word theory, they're not referring to a guess. It's not what they mean.
So
So words have different meanings in
their
different
theory is
contexts.
more
In a
fact.
scientific context, it has nothing to do with a guess. A theory is a collection of ideas and explanations, and depending on who you ask, you will either get that collection of ideas and explanations is either attached to a mathematical framework, so you're linking like these ideas to mathematics, and that's what like a mathematician would call a theory, or a theory, if you talk to like an experimentalist, somebody who like works with the data, they would say a theory is a collection of ideas, frameworks, mathematics, kind of like a big bundle of stuff that has been tested over and over again, and it's been tested so successfully that we now canonize it as a theory in the scientific community. We call the most successful ideas, the ones that have stood up to tests, the ones that have stood up to experimentation, we call those theories. So these are not just guesses. These are well-tested explanations.
Okay, so if we could touch base on that double slit, and you said that, with the consciousness, it's not nothing. So is quantum physics like
It's also a
one of
theory, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It actually
It doesn't mean, but it's
quantum
also the
theory.
best scientific thing we've ever done in the history of science, in the history of humanity even. It's the most accurate piece of science that we've ever done.
So, touching base with the quantum realm, I'm no doctor or nothing. I'm just your average construction worker that's just been researching crazy stuff for the last 20 years. And when you dive down rabbit holes and you keep asking questions, do I believe in God? I wouldn't call him God. I would say a creator of all. It's more of the consciousness, like the double slit experiment. They say, well, when it's observed, it acts differently. And
Right,
that's
but that
the
has
kind
nothing
of-
to do with consciousness.
Well, what would it have to do with? If something
So
is
it doesn't have
Go ahead.
anything to do with a human observing it. It has to do with interaction. So in order to measure it, in order to figure out which slit it went through, you have to do something to it. For example, if you're shooting an electron and you're trying to figure out which slit it goes through, the left slit or the right slit, you could put like a magnet under one of the slits. And if the electron passed over the slit, if the electron passed through the slit with the magnet underneath it, then the magnet you could like connect it to a computer and you could like read a little spike or something like that. But that magnet would affect the motion of the electron. And so when you interact with something, in order to figure out which slit it went through, you have to change the way the thing that you're interacting with behaves. And so, of course, when you observe something, you have to interact with it and change how it behaves. There's nothing mysterious that involves consciousness here.
you're saying that they influenced it and they didn't actually try to go down and look at it with the super subsonic computer or whatnot, or mathematical equations. They just literally tried to influence it. And
Look,
that's how
so
they came up
anytime
with
you try to determine which slit the thing goes through, you have to influence it.
You can't just observe it.
No, observation requires interaction.
I know there's an argument there. It's
Like when you
just
see
beyond my mental
something,
capacity.
when you see something, seeing something is not a passive thing, right? You can't see things that are dark. If you want to see something, you have to shine a light beam on it, and that light beam will affect it.
Understood. Except for the things that can see in the dark.
The reason they can see in the dark is because there's still a little bit of light, even if it's too dark for our eyes.
No, I understand that. I mean, so to me, the spiritual quest for is there a God? I believe we are all God. We are all of God. We are all of this energy. I guess the quantum realm or the quantum field is where it all was kind of taken back to in the quantum theories so far. I'm trying to still wrap my mind around what they're saying, but it's, to me, they're almost explaining the existence of something greater. And it's just like the Bible. To me, it's like a history book. They've used it to find many archaeological digs all around the Middle East, and they're still uncovering things. So does it make it fake? If, these stories have been passed down from word of mouth to, written, but you can trace them back supposedly to the stars, depending on who you ask. The same
If you
stories
ask anybody credible, you cannot trace them back to the stars, no.
No, you can't. But what I like to explain is that there's Orion, most of us are familiar with. And every year I've been observing this since I learned about it. if you watch Orion every year move through the sky as it raises up towards the October sky or whatnot, the three kings is what they used to call the three stars on its belt that point straight to the star of Sirius, which is supposed to be the binary star or whatnot. But as it travels through the sky, you'll find that on December 21st or 24th, it aligns with the sun in the winter.
What aligns with the sun?
equinox. Huh?
What aligns with the sun?
The belt of Orion.
How does it align with the sun? You can never see Orion at the same time that you can see the sun.
No, it's more of a. So if you were to get up early in the morning and you see right before the sun rises, you can see how Orion's belt points directly towards where the sun starts coming up. So you're not going to see it per se during the daylight, but in the nighttime, you can definitely see in the angle in which the stars are aligned with the sun. So at that same time, the winter equinox, the sun doesn't come up for those 3 days. So that they believe that the sun died every night and was born.
When does the sun not come up?
What it does is it comes up and it only goes up to so the sun sets at 5 o'clock for 3 days.
Depends on where you are, yeah.
Well, per se, but here I can get a sunset at 10 o'clock at night. But what I'm saying, that's the highest point of the summer. But when it comes down to the winter equinox, for 3 days it comes up and stays at the same level. And the ancients used to say that the sun died for 3 days, and on the third day it was resurrected. Well, at the same time it's resurrected.
Said that?
It's in the ancient writings of ancient beliefs of Osiris when the sun and
Osiris wasn't a person.
No, the old gods they used to worship back in the day.
I don't know. They weren't people.
No, they were like the sun god, the moon god.
So what ancient writings are you referring to? Because I've never heard this claim, and it sounds like this.
Never heard this story?
It sounds like the kind of thing that a Christian apologist would make up. That is not really sourced in any actual historical evidence.
But it's not.
Also, just to be clear, on the winter equinox, the winter solstice, yes, the sun is at its lowest point in the sky at noon, yes, and it's at a higher point in the sky on December 20th and December 22nd. So it's just not the case that it gets to the same place on all 3 days.
Well, back in the day, they didn't have it as technical, I'm sure, as we have it today. But their story, the way it goes in 3 days. After the third day, it starts going towards the summer.
I mean, any day after the winter solstice, it starts going back, right?
Starts going back.
Goes back immediately.
The alignment though still is there every year.
The alignment with that Sirius points at the sun.
The three kings.
By the way, I can't even confirm that. I don't know if it's true. Sorry, not Sirius. We can just check this.
Holy crap, man! Your fingers moving.
So now this is Google AI. So believe it at your own.
Take it at will.
Take it at will, right? But I just Googled, does Orion's belt point at the sun on the winter solstice? And the AI says no, Orion's belt does not point directly at the sun on the winter solstice. Instead, the 3 stars of Orion's belt, when extended through Sirius, point to the location on the horizon where the sun rises on that day. The astronomical alignment is believed to be the basis for the Three Kings story, guiding observers to the rebirth of the sun in the morning after the winter solstice, according to some astronomical interpretations.
Yes, that story.
That's interesting, because it sounds like that this is the origins, at least some people think that it's the origins of the Christian story, not that this is pointing to the truth of the Christian story.
Yes, so
it seems like this is saying that the Christian story is not true and that it was just inspired by astronomy.
This is where it gets touchy for the Christians. See, there's
also, by the way, in the southern hemisphere, this doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. But in the northern hemisphere, we get this, and it's interesting to see that story go back that far and be similar to the same story of Christ and
no, it's not. It's not surprising, because that's the origins of the story.
So, well, there's reasons for it. There's reasons in which we're lost in time, and which
how do you know that they're reasons if they're lost in time?
Do you meditate?
No, not really.
All right. Well, that's pretty much how the monks kind of figured out that everything has motion. You know,
What?
they knew before Newton said everything's in motion. Your cells are in motion, there's always constant motion. Monks knew this thousands of years ago in their own monasteries, sitting there
What does this have to do?
meditating.
Look, okay, so
Well,
we're
I
like
understand.
way off topic.
It is, but it isn't. So when science is like discovering things that were known thousands of years ago, like through acupuncture. We're just now diving into science is accepting the possibility that it's maybe a little bit more than a placebo effect. Where the Chinese for thousands
Look,
of
there's a
years.
lot of things that science has discovered in the last 100 years that was not known by the ancients. So like,
Yes. Oh,
yeah,
guaranteed.
some things. So look, what is the case is that a lot of folk medicine, these are things like, and I call them folk medicine not in a derogatory sense, just like the kind of medicine that was practiced before we had like evidence-based medicine. A lot of folk medicine, people figured out through trial and error, and they didn't know why it worked, but they did know that it did work. And what we're finding out now is that a lot of the folk medicine, it had some, well, at least some of it, had some sort of a positive effect, and now we're finding out why they work. And that's not surprising. We figured something out via trial and error, but didn't understand how it worked, and now we do.
Well, I used to have a doctor. He was from Germany. Well, he was from Europe, but he got his degree in Germany. And his degree, his first 3 years, he had to learn, we'll call it the homeopathic way of healing before he even
Oh,
touched
you shouldn't.
base.
You should not do homeopathy. That's
Well, not
nonsense.
well, what do you call he does the herbal, the old ways of healing before he learned the new way, the folklore or whatever, the folk healing or
So homeopathy is where you take something like silver or like silver colloids or something like this, and then you dilute it like 100 times, and then you say, but it still has the essence in it, and then you just drink water.
Okay. No,
And that's nonsense.
I've
That's fake.
I've dabbled in all that stuff.
Well, you shouldn't.
No, I mean
You shouldn't dabble in homeopathy. No, that's a waste of money.
No, I do more at home. A piece of silver with a 9-volt battery, and then a little.
Probably shouldn't do that either. That seems like something you should consult your doctor on. Look, we were way off topic, Brian, so I'm going to let you go.
Yes, no.
But thank you so much for being here. All right, we have some super chats, and then we'll move on to the next guest. From Kyra Foreman with the $2. You want to know God or want to debate your non-belief? If God is real, I'd love to know it. And then from Oren Pacht with the $5. At latitude 40 degrees north, earliest sunset occurs around December 8th each year, and latest sunrise occurs around January 5th. U.S. Navy site. That's interesting. Wait a minute. Earliest sunset occurs around December 8th? That doesn't make any sense. Hold on, that's not true. Earliest sunset doesn't occur on December 8th. There's no way. That may have been a typo.
Hello.
MKKK, how's it going?
Yeah. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm a Muslim, and I wanna challenge your belief.
Okay, yeah. So, what's your best argument for the existence of a God?
Well, firstly, I believe that God created us for a purpose, and that purpose is to observe the universe. Because say if the universe had no observers, no one would know it would exist.
Okay.
You get me?
I agree. If the universe didn't have observers, then no one would know it exists. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and it would be meaningless because only God himself would know that.
What? I don't understand the argument that you're making. Do you want to rephrase it?
Okay, so my argument is that a universe without observers would be meaningless. It would exist, but no one would ever know it.
Okay, sure.
That's why God. Yeah, that's why God created us to witness His creation. We are not made.
But
to
I don't
be
think God
perfectly
created us.
Why do you think that?
I don't think that God's real.
Oh yeah. Why do you think that?
Because I don't see compelling reason to think so. And I see pretty compelling reason to think otherwise.
Well, firstly, I agree with your stance because yeah, the universe probably existed before time, but at the same time, there has to be a cause for something to exist.
Sure. At least in a colloquial sense, I agree. What does that have to do with God?
Well, He's the creator of the universe.
Why does the cause for something to exist mean that God is real? What if the universe
Well,
doesn't have a
because-
cause? What if it has always existed?
What do you mean it has always existed?
As in there wasn't a first day. Every day has a day before it.
Well, yeah. Well, in a way. Okay, I get your point. It seems that you haven't thought about that, but from my perspective, even if the universe has always existed, it has to have a reason to exist. I mean,
Why?
why would it exist without a reason?
Why does it need a reason to exist? Can't it be
Everything-
self-justifying?
I mean, like,
Couldn't it be necessary?
to be self-justifying and self-necessary.
Yep.
Oh, you're right.
Welcome to atheism, MKKK. God, I hate saying that. But, you know, he's not from the US, so he doesn't have the baggage that I have. Angelic Baby, how's it going?
Hi, are you able to hear me?
I am.
Okay. I'm agnostic, but I've been really liking the conversation on the causation stuff. Because if you really do think about it, I think that there does need to be at least a reason or an explanation for why something exists.
Hold
And
on. Sorry, I just need to correct something. So I'm very, very dumb. This is addressing this super chat. I understood this super chat to talk about the earliest sunrise occurring on December 8th, not the earliest sunset. Of course, the earliest sunset occurs sometime in December. Absolutely agree with that. I just read it wrong. Sorry, I just want to let you guys all know that I'm not stupid. Anyway, continue, Angelic Baby.
okay, so everything that exists does so for some reason or like some cause, and I think that that's a pretty like good assumption to make. And if you don't want to just assume it, I mean, everything that we observe,
I would say that like all the
that's
physical
case.
things that we see have some explanation. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and so when we think about like the Big Bang, I'm not really sure what the Big Bang is now. I was here when you were talking about it with the one lady that had the 40 years wrong information. But wouldn't you imagine that the Big Bang as an event in itself, right, is a physical event and would thus need a physical cause or some
Perhaps,
sort of
yeah.
cause or some reason.
Perhaps.
And when we think that way, we would then seek for that explanation, and it doesn't seem like we would be able to seek that information through scientific means, right? Because
Why not?
it would be outside of the universe. It'd be outside.
Why
of
would it be outside the
observable.
universe?
I would just imagine that you can't test for something that comes prior to the Big Bang.
Why not?
So, do you have like some like a hypothesis on how you would do that, or like?
Yeah, sure. Build a giant gravitational wave detector and see if you can detect gravitational waves passing through the Big Bang. This is something that people take seriously, but we just, like, you know, we're not there yet, but people are, you know, planning such projects.
Okay. So then if we're looking for the explanation, then I think that one way that somebody would try to explain that is through God. And that to me makes some sort of sense, right? Like, if you need something to be, like, at least like conceptually or ontologically prior to the Big Bang to make sense of the world, yeah, make that posit. But as an atheist, like, why is it that, like, you must deny that explanation
So my
instead,
view is,
right? Like,
my view is generally that if you're positing something that is non-temporal, it can't really do anything. Like, if you're proposing that there exists a divine being that has, like, that created the universe, I don't know how it does that if it doesn't exist in time.
Right. Okay. So for your understanding of causation, then it is like the sort of like physical.
My understanding of causation is that it's temporal.
It's temporal.
It always occurs in time, either prior to, if we're talking colloquially, a cause always occurs prior to or simultaneous with the effect.
Right. And yeah, that's interesting, because then people will say that God is outside of time and space.
Right.
And then I would have trouble trying to figure out how to then show the causal connection between something outside of time and space. Yeah, I would agree with that. But yet you would still need some sort of explanation for at least if you assume that everything has an explanation or some cause.
Well, you don't want to assume everything has an explanation, right? You want to assume that, like, some subset of everything has an explanation. So you might want to assume that every contingent physical thing has an explanation, or maybe you want to assume that every contingent thing has an explanation, not just contingent physical things. You probably don't want to assume that everything has an explanation, because then the fact that everything has an explanation also requires an explanation, and you just end up with an infinite chain of explanation, right? But then you probably don't want that.
But there is the possibility that the thing that you reduce everything to is something that's self-evident.
Well, look, so do you think that a thing can explain itself?
I mean, why not?
I mean, in that case, then it seems like that there's the notion that everything requires an explanation doesn't say anything about the universe. We could just say, oh, well, the Big Bang explains itself, for example. We just don't know how. We just don't know why, but it is self-evident, right?
Well, but it being self-evident is the thing that justifies you knowing that thing. That's the whole. That's the definition.
Look, so what I mean is that, like, what I mean is that one could then say there is some way, perhaps we just don't know how, that the Big Bang self-justifies, right? I mean, because like people talk about, like, necessary entities, like how does this divine being self-justify? How is it self-evident? Like,
yeah, that's
and then you have to go and you have to give an argument, and you have to give a whole bunch of, like, you have to do, like, a whole lot of philosophical reasoning. So it's not, like, self-evident in the sense that, like, oh, it's just obvious and everybody knows it. It's self-evident in the sense that, like, oh, it follows from some line of deductive reasoning or something like this. And that means that it requires, you know, some sort of thought, some sort of investigation to figure out what that line of reasoning is to get you there. And all I'm saying is, well, why couldn't we just say there is some line of reasoning we just haven't figured out yet for why the Big Bang is also like that?
I see. But then that doesn't make you an atheist, though, if you're talking about God, right? That just makes you, like, you're sort of, like, agnostic to the fact. Or,
well, so I'm an atheist because I think that there are good arguments against its existence.
I see.
And generally, I think that if there are good arguments against the existence of something and the arguments for its existence are poor or uncompelling, then I think that you have good reason to think that such a thing doesn't exist. For example, like, I don't think that unicorns exist because I don't think that there's good evidence that they well, I don't think that they exist on Earth. for the reason that I don't think that there's good evidence that they do exist. You'll find like mannequins and stuff, but like those are obvious forgeries. And I also think that the evidence that we do have is that, we know the evolutionary history of horses. We know the evolutionary history of most mammals. And so we know that a horn couldn't develop on such a thing, an equine horn anyway. And so like we have positive evidence to think that it doesn't exist, lack of positive evidence to think that it does exist. So we're well justified in thinking that unicorns aren't real, at least not on Earth.
So then how do you, that's interesting too, because if when you said that there would be, we have evidence that it's unlikely
we understand the evolutionary history of horses is what I'm getting at.
Right,
and like
right.
that doesn't include horns.
Right. So then do you think that you would have to have evidence for, as an atheist, would you have to have evidence for why God doesn't exist?
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that I was providing with like the statement about the atemporality, not being able to be in causal relation with things.
Right. Interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I really like the topic of causation, and causation is kind of different in physics and different in philosophy, and so trying to understand that's pretty cool.
Yeah, me too. Anything else you want to talk about, or should we call it there?
Go ahead. I want to know if you what you felt about like Spinoza's God.
I think it's functionally indistinguishable from atheism.
Okay.
Look, the way if you're a theist, then like there is a way in which you think the world is different from the way an atheist thinks the world is. For example, you think that there's a separate kind of thing, like a divine entity that doesn't exist in the physical reality, that you think like if you're a traditional theist, like a classical theist, then you think that divine entity can like interact with and violate the natural laws and things like this. That's like a genuine distinction on like the facts of the matter. But if you believe in Spinoza's God, it just seems like you're just relabeling what I think. It just seems like you're relabeling the universe as God, and that there's no actual like factual disagreements here. It's just like a naming convention kind of thing. And so like maybe there are some like really subtle differences, but it doesn't seem like a huge distinction.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. What I find most interesting about it is that through deductive reasoning, he was able to come up with like some being with infinite like qualities and show that it necessarily exists. So I mean,
was that Spinoza? Are you sure that that's Spinoza?
Yeah, it's Spinoza.
Do you know the argument offhand?
So it's way too long. It's way too long to talk about, because
okay.
But it will be an ethics 1, and it will be shown by proposition 11.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Well, Angelic Baby, thank you for being here.
Bye.
Take care. All right. So we have hold on. We have some super chats to read. So from JL, we have from the Australians. Sorry, let me hide that. From the Australians, we have, I think someone is going on the clip channel, LOL. Yeah, maybe. From Oren Pucht, they say, I swear sunrise, sunset is true. It's rate of change. Yeah, no, I was just dumb. I thought you said that sunrise happened, the earliest sunrise happened on December 8th, and the earliest, and the latest sunrise happened on January, whatever. And I'm like, there's no way that the earliest sunrise happens on January or on December 8th, but I just read it wrong. Then we have Bricky Shen with the 2000 ARS, which is like $2, I think. Says, I'm not old enough to debate with you, sadly. It would be nice to train my skills, but I suggest you talk to better preachers, examples Nicholas Boeing and Cliff Knechtel, and you will get your questions answered. I'm not saying go see them, but someone with the same level of understanding. Look, they're always welcome to come up. I talk to anybody. And then from Bricky Shen with the 200 ARS, which I think is like a quarter. Also, Blitz, how are you doing today? Forgot to ask. I'm doing well. Thank you for the $2-ish. And from Mixed to Be Marvelous Mike, yo, what's good, bro? Would you debate Andrew Wilson on the existence of God if it could be arranged? Yeah, sure. I mean, I have debated him on politics before, and he, I didn't really know his strategy at the same time, so like, at the time, so he probably like he dominated the conversation in a conversation I shouldn't have let him dominate in. Like he was in control of the conversation. Anyway, y'all, so I'm gonna put up a so we all know that Q-Top is in the chat. The question is should we bring him up? So I'm going to run a quick poll for the TikTokers. Give me a smiley face if you want him to come up, a sad face if you don't want him to come up. I know that some of you guys don't like him, so we'll let the people decide. Oh. Looks like the people have said yes. All right, while it's still going, we'll read another super chat from John Scott with the 5 British pounds. It's hard to prove God is real, like it's hard to solve measurement problem in science, but one day we might. Maybe. MILF Wrangler with the $10 says, debate me on Karlach being one of the worst companions in BG3. I will fight you. All right, it looks like people want Q-Top to come on. Who knows why, but the people have spoken. Let's see how quick it takes him to crash out this time.
So yeah, this is just obviously you're right.
Hey, bud.
I mean,
how's it going?
I've never taken a poll to bring you up, Blitz. Like
you have a really bad reputation, and so I want to make sure that the people won't hate me for bringing you up.
Wait, a bad reputation according to who and by what?
According to my audience.
Oh, okay. So yeah, if you're just going to say like the collective atheist trolls in the live deem me to have a bad reputation, I mean, I can arbitrarily say that anyone has a bad reputation. I don't actually have a bad reputation.
I'm not being arbitrary. I'm just saying that with the people who are with the people who are my audience, you have a bad reputation. That's just true.
Wait, how would it not be arbitrary?
Because I specified exactly what people group we're talking about. Why is this relevant?
Is the people group like a standard of what a bad reputation is?
I was referring to your reputation with respect to them.
Yeah, so that just means it's with respect to arbitrariness. It wouldn't be based in any form of like objectivity, right?
To be clear, with respect to them, your reputation being bad is objectively true.
No, that's not how objective.
But this seems irrelevant. What do you want to talk about?
Objective truth to be.
I'm not gonna let you bait an irrelevant conversation. What do you want to talk about?
Atheists don't have objective truth. So are you claiming to like be?
Look, I don't think you do either.
I mean, I don't.
That's not. So what's the actual topic that you want to talk about? Like, do you want to talk about what truth is?
Yeah,
is that the goal?
Point I want to talk.
Is that what you want to talk about?
What I want to talk about is how the atheistic worldview is literally impossible. Metaphysically,
okay, yeah. So can you demonstrate that?
Scientifically. It's by the impossibility of the contrary. So when you ask me to
you're still running tag?
When you ask me to
demonstrate it.
When you ask me to demonstrate, are you asking me to demonstrate it from your worldview or from my worldview?
Look, so you're making a positive claim. I guess you would probably have to demonstrate it from my worldview, wouldn't you? If you're trying to critique my views incoherent.
No. So you're making a positive claim as well. So you asked me to demonstrate the impossibility of the contrary. So when you ask me to demonstrate something, it just
I'm just asking you to provide the argument. That's not a claim. I'm just making a request of you.
Yeah. So essentially, what you're saying is that like arguments are possible in your world, right?
I mean, yeah, we can have arguments, yeah. But like that's like something that like I'm happy to say that arguments are things that humans do sometimes. So can you provide support for your claim or no?
Wait, do arguments depend upon truth?
I'm sorry, I'm not going to let you pivot. Can you provide support for your claim or no?
Wait, you're asking me to you're asking me to provide support for my claim, yet providing support is not possible in your worldview.
Okay, so that's another claim. Can you provide support for that, please?
Okay, so then I'm going to ask you, can you demonstrate how you can provide support?
Not my burden.
Claim?
It's your claim.
Demonstrate how truth exists?
It's not my burden. It's your claim.
Your burden? How do you know that?
I'm not going to let you do that. Justify your claim or leave.
Do you see this? This is a very obvious pivot, Dr. Blitz.
Look, if you're,
it's a very obvious
this is a pivot. I'm literally, you're the one who's pivoting. I asked you to justify your claim that you made, where XYZ is impossible in my worldview, and then you said, "Oh, well, how do you know it's possible?" Like that is literally burden shifting. So I'm not going to let you do it.
Okay,
so please just justify your claim. You don't have to speak slower. Everybody understands you, and we'll all get bored if you speak slowly.
No. You
speak
don't
at a normal rate.
So you're asking me to justify my worldview.
I'm asking you to
What
justify
that
your claim.
presupposes is, okay, you're asking me to justify X, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What that presupposes is that you have a worldview by which justification is possible. If you don't have a worldview by
No,
which
it doesn't.
justification
It
is
actually doesn't
possible, then
presuppose
my
that. It
point is
presupposes a
necessarily
worldview where
loose.
it presupposes that I believe I have a worldview where justification is possible.
Wait, how do you know you even believe that?
It's a subjective experience that I have direct access to.
Wait,
All
how
right,
do
you want
you
to
know
justify
you're
your
having a
beliefs?
subjective experience? How do you know
That's
that?
by definition. That's the only kind of experience you can have.
Now, how do you know? Wait, stop.
That's just
How
by
do you know? You
definition.
keep making. How do you know that? How
It's
do you know
just
it's by definition?
that's just what I mean by the word subjective experience.
Wait, how do you know that's what you mean? How do you know that?
Are you being serious right now?
See, guys. This is Dr.
Are you being
Blitz's
serious right now,
problem. He
Q-Top?
doesn't answer questions.
Are you being
Do you know
serious?
what? Wait, do you know you're asking me that question, Dr. Blitz? See, this is the problem.
Are you
Knowledge
being
isn't
serious?
possible in your world. You
Hey,
have a
Q-Top, how
PhD,
does
but you don't
so
know
in your
anything.
worldview, how does
PhD,
God
but
justify
you
us?
literally don't know anything, Dr. Blitz. Your
So
name should. You don't
Q-Top,
even know you're a
no,
doctor.
don't make me
Do
mute
you even
you.
know you have a PhD, Dr. Blitz?
So Q-Top,
Now he's
does God
muting me
know
like
anything? Yeah, I'm muting
now
you
he's
because you
muting
won't let me talk. It's
he's
my
muting me like
live stream and you're not letting me talk.
I mean,
So Q-Top, does
yeah, you're
God
a
know
coward.
anything? Does God know anything,
Repent of your
Q-Top?
sins and believe in Jesus. You're a
Q-Top,
coward.
does God know
Dr. Blitz
anything?
doesn't even know his name is Dr. Blitz. Have a good day. You've been totally annihilated.
Put on
And
your
you're the
running
same
shoes, Q-Top. I
troll.
know you're good
You're
at
the
them.
same troll
Keep
and
putting on your
coward
running
that
shoes.
I'm
Keep
running.
putting on your running
do you know
shoes.
that I'm
Yeah,
running?
so
Do you know
Q-Top,
that?
does God know anything?
Know that, Blitz? Do you
Does
know
God
you're
know
asking me a
anything?
question?
Does
Do you
God
know
know
you're asking
anything?
a question? He
Does
knows
God know
all
anything?
things.
Okay,
All
how does he
things.
know? What is knowledge? Can you help me out? What's knowledge?
Yeah, so knowledge and disposition to what, God or us?
Just knowledge simpliciter.
Okay, yeah. So this is a category error you're making. Knowledge
I'm
is
asking a
defined
question.
fully.
It's not a category error.
Questions can be proposed as category errors because the question that you're asking can denote a specific category that is false. You're
What's the
asking me
category
a
that's false?
question. You're asking me a question about knowledge, and so I'm clarifying. Are you asking me the question in relation to God, or are you asking me the question in relation to man?
I'm asking the
what are you
question in relation to the whole set of all things that have knowledge.
That's not knowledge has a different definition.
Okay, sure.
If you're asking me in accordance with man or God, you would know this, Blitz, if you've actually
Okay,
studied any philosophy.
so to be clear, when you say that God knows something, you don't mean that like there is a fact that God has an attitude, or there's a proposition that God has an attitude towards. That's not what you mean.
God is the concrete, fundamental, and ultimate instantiator of all propositions. So when we say that God knows a proposition, in other words, all we're saying is that the proposition in itself is being governed and instantiated and dictated by God. That's all I mean. When we say human beings, wait, I'm trying to clarify because you asked me a question, and now when I go to answer your question, you cut me off.
I thought
when
you were
we
done.
say human beings know things, we're saying that knowledge is a revelation of God.
Well, that's not what I'm saying, but sure, that's fine. Okay, so can you repeat again?
That's my whole point.
Q-Top, can you repeat again what your definition of knowledge was for God, just so I can have it fresh in my mind?
Yes, and you can type this out. Knowledge for God is an instantiation of a proposition which is necessarily dependent upon God. So all knowledge is just an instantiation of a proposition that God would be the ground of. So God is what is concrete, fundamental, and ultimate, which instantiates propositions. So when we say God knows all things, in other words, we're just saying God instantiates all things. God's mind is what is fundamental. All knowledge is a divine idea. And we can know things because the divine idea is being revealed to us from God. I'm an objective idealist. I'm a Christian idealist. I hold to the same philosophical metaphysic as Jonathan Edwards.
So via that definition, could God know a false thing?
That's impossible.
So just to clarify, so the definition that you gave is knowledge for God. I just typed it out. So you said knowledge for God is an instantiation of a proposition which is necessarily dependent on God. Now, I could imagine, it's like conceivable that God could instantiate a false proposition that depends on him.
No, that's impossible.
Why is that impossible, given your definition?
Because so I will look, this is very simple. God as being what is concrete, fundamental, and ultimate. God as being the very substance and ontology of truth itself. Jesus Christ says in John 14:6, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. God is the identity state of what truth is. God necessarily is always truth revealing. So what you're saying is essentially the question that you're asking is, can something that is the foundation of truth reveal something that is not true? And that is problematic, that is contradictory, and that is false from a Christian worldview.
Okay, so then what grounds the existence of false propositions in your view?
False propositions don't exist. False propositions are
2 plus 2 equals 5. Is that a proposition?
No, that's not a proposition in
what?
Christian worldview.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is a proposition in your worldview?
Yeah, a proposition is a statement.
Any statement is a proposition?
Well, yeah, statements that can be instantiated, obviously.
So 2 plus 2 equals 5 is a statement.
That statement cannot be instantiated. I just said statements
What
are
do you
things
mean?
that can be instantiated. When we say
Okay,
God
so
can do all things, a
what do you
thing is
mean
the possibility to
instantiated?
be actualized. Means that it has either the possibility of existence or it is grounded by that which is the foundation of existence.
Well, look, so like 2 plus 2 equals 4. I don't know what does it mean to instantiate 2 plus 2 equals 4?
Yeah, it means that that which is concrete, fundamental, and ultimate has revealed in the world and has designed a world where mathematical processes and conceptual systems are sequential. Meaning that when you take two things and you add it to two things, you get four things because the world exists in such a way ontologically in which it is governed by the mind of God, which dictates and instantiates that proposition.
I'm confused. So look, I agree that like if you like take 2 apples and you put them next to 2 other apples, you get 4 apples. But that's a distinct statement from the statement 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? 2 plus 2 equals 4 doesn't refer to apples. It doesn't refer to, cars. It doesn't refer to, followers, whatever. It's an abstract statement. So I don't know what you mean by to instantiate it.
Yeah, abstractions are instantiated by that which is fundamental. Everything is an instantiation.
Right.
So when I say instantiation, I just mean
when you say so why can't 2 plus 2 equals 5 be instantiated, but 2 plus 2 equals 4 can be if they're both abstract statements?
Because the statement cannot correspond to reality. Reality is the mind of God. So 2 plus 2 equals 5 is not an instantiation, because for something to be instantiated, it has to exist. And for something to exist, it either exists abstractly or concretely. And if it either exists abstractly or concretely, that means it's necessarily dependent upon the universal which grounds concrete existences and abstractions, which would be what is concrete, fundamental, and ultimate, which is universal, which would be God. So
look, setting aside the rambling that you just did, it seems like you said that things could be abstract. You said that things could either be. You said that things can either be abstract or concrete. You said that things can either be abstract. Look, you definitely did just ramble. Like if you don't know what you did, then it's fine. You don't have to admit it. But look, you said that things can either be. You said, look, I'm not going to let you interrupt me. So you said that things can either be concrete. You said that things can either be concrete or abstract. And like, sure, we can grant that that's the case.
Rambling.
It seems like you said that, and I'm really just trying to understand your worldview. You don't have to preach to explain it.
You're rambling.
I'm really just trying to understand, why is it that in order for God to instantiate an abstract thing, it has to be linked to a concrete thing?
Yeah, so all abstractions necessitate a universal, which is God. God is the universal concrete that grounds all abstractions.
That's cool, but I'm just asking why God can instantiate 2 plus 2 equals 4, but can't instantiate 2 plus 2 equals 5.
Because 2 plus 2 equals 5 is a false statement. Falsity does not exist. All instantiations must exist. In order for something to exist, it has to be true. What does it mean for something to have a false existence? What does that even mean, Blitz?
Well, look, if you believe that propositions exist, if you believe that statements exist abstractly, then you can have false propositions and you can have true propositions, and there's no issue there.
No, I don't believe that false propositions exist. I believe when we talk
then you're just
about
confused.
I mean, I can just say that you're confused, Blitz. You don't even know anything at all.
No, I mean, so do you think that negation is not a valid operator?
Yeah, negation is a conceptual operator, not a real operator.
Do you think that? Hold on. You don't think that logical operations exist abstractly?
When you say logical operations, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, things like conjunction, disjunction, negation.
Yeah, they exist as a methodology for us to determine what is true.
Do they have abstract ontology? Do they have abstract ontology? No, they don't.
Not at all. Falsity does not have an ontology. No.
Okay, I didn't say falsity. I said conjunction, disjunction, and negation.
That's what falsity. Well, okay. When you describe modal operators, because that seems that's what you're describing. Okay, if when we talk about modal operators, what is necessary?
Those aren't modal operators.
Okay. Blitz, you have this like this you have this like really like pseudo intellectual complex about you, and it's just really like low tier. Okay, a disjunction is a type of modal operator because it's
Is
either
it
a
shitty if I
conjunction
say
or
this is the pot
disjunction.
calling the kettle black?
Blitz, is it shitty that I can say that you are literally up here and you think you have a PhD, but you don't even know you have a PhD
That
because
doesn't
you're
make
woke,
me a
you can't even
racist,
ground
does it? If I
knowledge?
say that, because that's just
Blitz,
a
does it
phrase.
make me does it make me a racist if I say that you look like a rat, Jaylee?
I mean, like, probably not, as long as you're not ascribing it to any qualities that I have.
Well,
Any, like, you know, intrinsic qualities that I have.
I think I'm ascribing it to your face, Blitz, because you literally look like a mole rat, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you,
Okay.
bro.
Okay, I'm
But
sure.
but again, back on topic, Dr. Blitz. Okay, again, right?
But
You don't
like,
understand.
look,
You don't understand philosophy. I just broke this down to you.
Are you sure?
I just
Are you sure?
explained to you
Because you
that
just said that false
propositions
propositions don't exist, and you also think that true
Yes. Do you think?
propositions are
Wait, one second.
abstract, have abstract
Yes.
existence.
Do false propositions exist, Blitz?
Well, I don't think propositions have ontology to begin with, but this is a critique of your worldview.
Yeah. So 1 second. Wait, is your existence a proposition?
No.
Wait 1 second. Blitz, is it true that you exist in reality?
Are you asking as a proposition, or are you asking as a state of affairs? You have to
Is it
stop
true?
giggling if you want an answer.
Is it true? Is it true? I'm gonna clip this.
Is this
true
a
that you-
proposition?
Is it true? Is it true that you exist in reality?
Is this a proposition or a question about the state of affairs? Because those two are distinct.
Wait, how do we separate propositions from states of affairs? What's the distinction you're making?
States of affairs are descriptions of the way things are. Propositions are sentences about those ways.
Oh, perfect.
They can also be sentences about other things that are not those ways, but that's neither here nor there.
So the states of affair. Wait, so the states of affairs are just a description, correct?
Yeah,
Okay. Do we use language to describe things?
all the time.
Okay, perfect. So essentially, your existence is dependent upon language, correct?
No, descriptions of my existence are dependent upon language.
Wait, so
Are you
is
confused?
your existence independent upon the state of affairs?
My existence is part of the state of affairs.
No, is it independent of the state of affairs? That's the question I asked you.
It's part of the state of affairs. I think
That's
you
not
can
the question
probably.
I asked you.
I think that
Is
you can
it
probably infer
independent
what the
or is it
answer is.
dependent?
The
Is it
state
no?
of,
I don't.
the
I'm
state
not
of
asking you to
affairs.
infer.
The
I
state of
want you to
affairs
answer my
doesn't have
question. This is the
depend.
running.
It doesn't.
This is the running. We
Look,
got
if you
running
want me to
Randy
answer
over
your
here
question,
now. We got.
look. So, are you stealing from Ian now? That's so funny. So, look, the state of affairs, it does not stand in causal relation to things. It doesn't stand in grounding relation to things. It's just a description of the way things are.
Okay, so if it's just a description, it stands in no causal relation. Is your existence causally connected to reality? Yes or no?
Causal. I don't know what that question means.
Is your existence connected to what is real?
It's my existence is part of what's real.
I didn't ask you if it's part of what is real.
I don't know what you mean by connected then.
Is your Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. When you say your existence is part of what is real, is that just simply a descriptor of a state of affairs?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So when you say your existence is a part of what is real, this statement is dependent upon the language that we are using to describe the statement, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. We use language
perfect.
to
So
describe
your
things. You should read Wittgenstein. I'm probably not going to, but you should.
So your existence is just simply a convention of human language.
No, the description of my existence is.
Okay, is there a distinction? Because you didn't answer the question.
Between the way things are and the description?
Between
Yeah,
the
sure.
description of the state of affairs and the state of affairs themselves.
Yeah, sure. One is a description, the other is the way the thing actually is, or the way that is the thing
I'm
itself.
asking you about the ontology. So this state of affairs that is your existence. Is the state of affairs real? Is the state of affairs true?
I don't know what you mean by true.
Yeah, when I mean
if it is part of the state of affairs, then it is real, kind of by definition.
Oh wait, so it's just real by definition?
Well, that's what it means for something to be part of the state of affairs, right?
Well, I mean that's just how you're defining. Okay, so if it's just real by if it's just real by definition,
we would say that something is not part of the state of affairs if it's not real, and it is part of the state of affairs if it is real.
Okay, so if it's just real by definition, that seems arbitrary. So is that
what's arbitrary about this?
Is this definition? Are definitions objective or subjective?
Definitions are created by the way that we use the words.
Yeah, exactly. So if it's created by the way that we use the words, the state of affairs, which is your existence, if it's just
it's not my
definitional,
existence. The state of affairs. Well, okay. My existence is part of the state of affairs. You're confused.
What does that even mean? What does that mean?
There are other things in the state of affairs besides my existence, right? Like, the existence of my water bottle or whatever. That's also in the state of affairs.
Okay, so the state of affairs is just a description. The state of affairs doesn't actually have an ontology.
So the state of affairs points to the state of affairs is like the word or the language that we use to point to like the way things actually are. Right?
But how do you know the way that things actually are? How do you know that?
We don't necessarily know them. If you want to be a global skeptic, you can be. I'm not, because I take phenomenological conservatism seriously.
Blitz, I just want to make sure I'm understanding you, Blitz. I genuinely just want to make sure I'm understanding you. Like at
this
point,
is so tiring. Q-Top, have you ever had a conversation in good faith?
Wait, hold up. I'm just trying to understand you. So you said that your existence is a part of a state of affairs.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that this state of affairs, right, is just what actually is. You're saying that it's just definitional or just tautological, that the state of affairs is just what is real. But then when I ask you, how do you know that the state of affairs is actually what is real? Then your response is, I don't know.
Yeah,
So
I don't
one
know with
second.
100% certainty, but I'm a fallibilist, so.
Okay, wait 1 second. Wait. So you know with probability?
Yeah, well, yeah. The way I understand the word "no" is
so you
to
don't even know you
have a high
exist with
degree in
certainty.
credence. No, there are some things that there are some things that I can say I have certainty in. For example, I would say that I have certainty that I exist, even if I can't demonstrate it to anybody else.
Wait. Hold up. You just said that the state of affairs is tautological, which essentially just means that the state of affairs is just true by definition. It's not that
it's not true. What do you? It's not a proposition. It doesn't have a truth value.
Okay, I'm not playing semantics with you. When you say the state of affairs, all you're saying is that it's just tautological. It's just
It's not tautological. It doesn't. Do you know what these words mean?
Oh my
like
God.
lock in, Q-Top.
Like now he's playing this game,
lock in, dude.
Now he's
like
playing
it doesn't
this
make
game,
sense to
bro.
talk about something
Blitz,
that's
you
not a
literally
proposition with a truth value.
We already went over this.
What are you doing?
We already went over this. I'm using your understanding of truth. You're a deflationist, so I'm using your understanding of truth. When you say that the state of affairs is real, or the state of affairs, or that you or your existence,
the state of affairs is the collection of the collection of affairs is basically. Hold on a sec. Let me try to explain what I'm trying to convey without you interrupting. Okay.
Blitz, I already know what Blitz. I'm gonna stillman you.
Oh, okay.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
Repeat. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
I'm stillman you. What you're saying is that your existence is a part of a state of affairs. When I ask you what a state of affairs is, when I ask you the relation, you're using part. So you're saying there are all these things that exist in the state of affairs, but your existence is a part of the state of affairs. Then I asked you, what is the state of affairs? You said the state of affairs is just what is real. Then you said it's just the definition of the state of affairs. Then I asked you, how do you know that state of affairs is real? And then you said, I don't know that state of affairs is real.
Yeah, so what do I mean by that?
That's literally the full conversation. I don't need you to try, bro.
Wait, are you going to steelman me or are you going to strawman me? So what do I mean by that?
You're weak in philosophy. I just steelmanned you.
No, you didn't. Well, so steelmanning would be conveying what I meant, and you didn't do that. So you didn't steelman me. So you were incorrect. Now you did repeat roughly what I said, but you didn't steelman me. So to steelman to someone is to present their argument in the way it was intended. Right?
No problem.
In the best light, if you will. So let me convey to you what I was trying to convey. So look, there are certain things, there's probably exactly one thing that I can be certain of existing, and that's my own experience, right?
How do you know that? How do you know that?
I'm not going to get into the cogito with you. I actually can't justify it to you, but I can justify it to myself, and that's all I need. So Q-Top. So I asked you to not interrupt.
How do you know that? How do you know that? You just made a statement.
All right, so...
you won't answer me. You're a coward.
I was in the middle of a sentence. So you can...
He doesn't know. You're a coward.
So look, so the point is that...
Do you know we're having a conversation? Do you know what?
So the point is that there's perhaps only one thing that I can be certain of existing. However, there are a lot of things that I can be very, very certain exist. And so when I say that I know that there are other things in the state of affairs, like my water bottle, what I mean is that I have a high degree of credence that such a thing exists. Now, if you want to be a global skeptic and say, oh, well, you can't know anything with certainty, well, fine, I guess. I just don't hold that view. I hold to phenomenological conservatism. I think that you have justified beliefs in things and you can have high credence in things, especially if things seem a certain way. So when I say that, I know my water bottle exists, or I know my keyboard exists, or I know that you exist, what I mean is that I have a high degree of credence and I can come to that conclusion via phenomenological conservatism, as it seems to be the case that is the way that it is. And therefore I can build up what I would call reality, which, is a collection of things, and that is the state of affairs that we live in. Now, if you have a problem with any of that, by all means, feel free to address what I actually said rather than strawmanning me like you or want to do.
Yeah, I did straw man you. I literally just repeated exactly what you said, but it's okay.
Can you repeat back
just
to me
kinda...
what I said?
Oh my gosh, bro, this is so low tier. Like this
Can
is
you repeat
literally
back to me
so.
what I said?
Blitz, all you did was you just invoked phenomenological conservatism to try to cover up how you can't know anything. That's literally all you just did, bro.
Sorry, can
But
you
let me,
repeat back to me
but
what I
let me,
said?
let me have an
Because you
opportunity.
also
Can I have
you
an
missed some
Can
really
I
important
just let you
features.
speak? Wait,
You missed some really
I just
important
let
features.
I actually didn't. I
You
actually
did.
didn't. I actually didn't. I really
Well,
didn't.
maybe you weren't paying
all
attention
you
because you were
did,
trying to
all you
unmute.
did was just say that things seem to be a certain way, therefore you can know things. You said you can't know things with certainty, but you have a high credence. That's literally all you said. But here's the problem: when you say that you have a high credence, are you certain that you have a high credence?
No, I don't need to be.
Wait. Do you know you don't need to be?
Are you trying to equivocate between your definition of no and my definition of no? Because I think that that's what you're trying to do.
I find it strange that you turned off the chat. Why do you turn off the chat, bro?
The chat's not off.
The chat's not off. Wait, why can't I see nobody chatting?
You probably turned off the chat because everybody was making fun of you.
What? How can I turn off the chat and you're live? Are you good, bro?
Bro doesn't know how TikTok works because he bought 900,000 followers and he didn't actually grow them organically, huh?
I bought 900,000 followers now, guys.
Yeah.
Wow. Good one, Blitz. Good one, dude. Yo, that anger's coming out. That demon's coming out now, bro. That demon's coming out, dude. That demon's coming out. It's crazy. That's wild.
That hit home, didn't it?
If you think
hurt.
hitting home, if you think hitting home is not even approaching the driveway, then yeah, that definitely hit home.
Okay.
So yeah.
You just
Dr.
seem like
Blitz,
you got
man,
really upset by that.
Well, of course you would think that because you don't even know that we're even having a conversation right now. So of course you would think
That's a cool straw man, but you know.
But
go on.
Wait, Blitz. Do you know it's a straw man?
Yes, I do.
Wait, how do you know that?
Because I have the subjective experience of hearing you straw
See,
man.
now the chat is on. See, now you just turned the chat on. See, now the chat is on.
The chat's been on the whole time.
No, okay. Well, I'm just seeing the chat now. Wait, so Blitz. Wait, so you made a claim. You said that I committed a straw man. How do you know that?
Because I have the subjective experience with it. I have direct access to that experience of the straw man.
So wait, so you just know it subjectively. So all knowledge is just subjective to you.
It's a subjective experience, yeah.
Oh, okay,
your
perfect.
words, your weird words entering my ears, that's a subjective experience.
so there
yeah.
is
If you don't
no- wait,
if
so
you
there
don't
is
think
no
that that's the
mediating-
case, then like
So
I don't
there
know
is
how to
no
help you, man.
mediating- So there is no mediating principle to actually get to what is true in reality. You're just saying that we're
Subjective
both
doesn't
just
make it
making-
not true.
Oh, subjective doesn't make it not true. Wait, so when you say something is true, are you saying that it corresponds to what is real or no?
I don't hold a correspondence theory of truth, Q-Top. Are you just importing your correspondence theory of truth onto everybody else's worldview? I'm a pluralist, my guy.
So how do we determine? So cash that out for me.
Yeah, so depending on what type of proposition you're referring to, I hold different standards or different means of determining whether something is true. Now, you actually don't believe in basically any proposition. You don't think that basically any proposition exists. So I don't think that you have any way of actually establishing what's true or not, because...
Yeah, I never said I don't believe propositions exist.
No, you don't believe, you believe almost none of them exist. So wait a minute, hold on, Q-Top. Oh my god, oh my god, this is such a huge dunk. So Q-Top, hold on.
Oh, he thinks he's about to dunk, y'all.
Let's say that there's a proposition. Let's say that there's a proposition, you don't know the truth value of it. Does it exist or not?
Yeah, so all propositions that are true exist in reality.
Yeah, so let's say that there's a proposition that you're thinking about, you're investigating its truthiness. Does it exist or not?
I don't know. When you say I'm investigating its truthiness, I don't even know what that means. And by
you're trying to figure out if it's true.
Your worldview.
You're trying under your worldview. You're trying to figure out if a proposition is true.
But we don't use. Okay, wait. We don't use. When you say that we're using proposition to figure out if another proposition is true.
No, I didn't say you're using a proposition. I say you're trying to figure... There's a proposition in front of you. Somebody told you about it. You read about it somewhere. You don't know if it's true, and you're trying to figure out if it's true. Does that proposition exist?
I wouldn't have epistemic access to if it exists. If it's true,
so you think that you'd be investigating something that doesn't exist? You think it's possible that you're investigating something that doesn't exist?
If it's false, obviously that's what falsity is. If we
investigate, so then what were you investigating if it doesn't exist?
Blitz, wait, hold up. Can I answer your question? Because this is like a very low tier. This is like really like stage 1 like philosophy class.
Then you would fail stage 1 philosophy, I guess.
Okay, yeah. So when we investigate propositions, right, like it is either the case that the proposition is true or the proposition is false. If I'm using some sort of like logical operator and I'm trying to investigate whether the proposition is true or false, if the logical operator like determines that the proposition is false because the world is actually constructed in such a way that methodologies and laws of logic are possible because God is the mind that grounds all what everything that is possible and what is impossible. Starting from that ontological framework, using a proper methodology to determine if propositions are true or false. If the proposition is false, it would just be the case that a proposition doesn't exist. But I can use a methodology to determine what does exist and what doesn't exist. I don't know why you're trying to like. This is like very simplistic. I don't
I'm
know
sorry.
why
Did you
not,
say so? I have a direct quote from you.
If this
I have
is
a
what your
direct quote
dunking
from you,
is, Blitz,
Top.
if this is what your dunking is, Blitz, you're not even on the
It's just embarrassing because like you just shouldn't have said that false
Blitz,
propositions don't
Blitz,
exist.
I know you're embarrassed,
so,
bro.
So Q-Top, your words were it's true that either the proposition is true or the proposition is false. So you're agreeing that propositions can be false.
I never said propositions can be false.
You said, or the proposition is false.
When I say that, oh my gosh,
can a proposition be false?
Let me put this. No,
a proposition can't be false. You guys heard it here first. Oh, this is such a
yeah. So Blitz,
I appreciate
you're not
you coming on for the free content.
Wait. So Blitz is now running because he.
Oh no, I'm not kicking you. I want you to stay on so then I can get a longer video out of this.
So, yeah. So I'll unpack it again because maybe your like PhD level brain is just not understanding. So I'll unpack it again. I don't know like why this is like some weird coping meta tactic.
Please, absolutely.
Yeah. So true propositions are just propositions that exist in the Christian worldview. That which is concrete, fundamental, and ultimate, which is the mind of God, dictates all instantiations of true propositions. We use proper methodologies in our reasoning, like logic, classical systems of logic. We can use predicate logic, modal logic. There's different logical operators, but we use logical systems to determine if propositions are true or false. So that's a perception to man, not a perception to God. So when I say that a proposition is false, that proposition wouldn't exist. The proposition, we can like conceptually entertain the idea of a false proposition, but false propositions don't actually exist because for something to exist, it has to be grounded in the mind of God. And because God's mind is the fabric of truth, falsity wouldn't actually have a positive existence. So I know in your worldview, Blitz, without something that is concrete, fundamental, and ultimate, that is the grounding of truth, right? You wouldn't actually have a justification for saying that false propositions don't exist. Obviously, false propositions could exist because when you say false propositions, that's just a subjective mental state in your mind. You don't know what is actually true and what is false. You're living in a subjective world, right? And that's why you won't answer my questions about knowledge. You won't answer my questions about truth. You won't answer my questions about reason. You won't answer my questions about logic. You won't answer any of these questions. You just keep pivoting and dodging, yet speaking words as if your worldview makes sentences intelligible.
Sorry, did you just say false propositions could exist?
No.
Well, you did. Want me to replay it?
I say we conceptually entertain false propositions.
Okay, so what are we conceptually entertaining?
The nature of not truthness.
The nature of not truthness. We're conceptually entertaining the nature of not truthness?
Yeah, Blitz.
Sorry, what's not truthness called?
Falsity.
Okay, so we're conceptually entertaining the nature of falsity. Now, so you're telling me that there is a nature of falsity?
Yeah, do you know what I mean when I say nature?
So wait a minute, there are things that are false, including the nature of falsity?
There are not things that are false.
Wait, if there's a nature of falsity,
what is false?
If there's a nature of falsity, then that nature, so does anything have this nature?
Oh my goodness gracious. Do you know
does anything have the nature of falsity?
Do you know what I mean by nature?
Probably something like essence. It's probably one of these very vague words that Christians like to throw around.
No, Blitz. No,
then
Blitz.
Elaborate.
So so this is part of the problem. This is part of the problem when we talk philosophy. You have to understand the semantic domain of the words that I'm using. When I say the nature of falsity, all I'm meaning is just that things that are false are not true. So the nature of falsity is just the nature of non-truthness. Nature, all nature it means it's just some sort of conceptual paradigm or some sort of like conceptual scheme that we engage in when we determine if propositions are true or false. All falsity means is not truth.
Yeah,
right?
You're right. I agree. Q-Top, did you say things that are false are not true?
Yes.
Okay, so are there things that are false?
Conceptually, yes.
So there are things that are false.
These things don't exist. It's a
so
yes,
so
they
oh
are
so
conceptual.
there's nothing that exists that's false?
Correct. Yes.
So everything that exists is true.
Yes. Yes. Can you give me one thing that exists that is false?
2
Can you
plus 2
please
equals
give me?
5, my
You're
guy.
laughing, but you don't have an objection.
2 plus
You
2
guys see
equals
how he's
5, my
laughing, but doesn't
guy.
have an objection. Blitz, all you can do is laugh to cope. Yes, give me one thing that exists that's
yeah,
false.
I'm laughing because you're doing
Give me
a lol
one
cow
thing
right
that
now.
exists
2
that
plus
is
2
false,
equals 5.
please.
2 plus 2 equals 5.
What?
It's a sentence. It
That
exists.
doesn't
2 plus 2 equals
exist.
5.
You're a
Oh, I'm sorry.
coward.
I'm sorry.
You
Did
think
I
2
just
plus
did
2
I just
equals 5 exists?
did my mouth just not emit
Whoa!
sounds?
Wait, Blitz,
Did I
you think
mouth
2
did my
plus
mouth
2
just
equals
not
5
emit
exists?
Did my mouth just not emit
Wow.
sounds? I'm
Everyone's
sorry.
spam the laughing. I want all the Christ game warriors in here to spam the laughing emojis. Blitz thinks that the statement 2 plus 2 equals 5, that
You
statement
know
actually
what?
exists.
You know what? If you guys think Q-Top is being silly, you should also spam the laughing
It's a
emoji.
conception that we can entertain in our subjective paradigms. It does
And
not
sorry,
exist in
does that
reality.
conception
All
exist?
things that
Does
exist
that
in
conception
reality
exist?
are grounded by what is true.
Sorry,
God is
sorry.
what
Do
is
our
fundamental and
conceptions
ultimate, which is
exist?
true.
You gotta let me talk.
What?
Q-Top, do our conceptions exist?
Not in reality.
So they're not
False
real, you're telling me?
concept-
So our conceptions aren't real.
The ontology of the conception exists in
Mhm.
reality, but what the conception is describing may not exist. I can conceive of a unicorn. That doesn't mean that unicorn exists in reality. My conception of a unicorn exists in reality, but it
Okay,
does not mean that
so-
the unicorn itself exists in reality. So there's a one second.
So
I
can
wanna
conceptions be
this
true
is
or
like
false?
really low tier.
Can
No, wait.
conceptions be true or false? Can
this is
conceptions be true or
really low
false?
tier.
Q-Top,
This
answer the
is so
question.
low
Can
tier. One
conceptions
second.
be
Let me explain.
Sorry,
I
I'm
just
sorry.
let
Q-Top.
I
No,
just
I'm
let
sorry.
you ramble.
Q-Top,
I just
either-
let you ramble, and now you want
Q-Top,
to let
if
me
the
answer a
conceptions
question.
exist, are the
You
conceptions
are a
true?
coward.
Q-Top, are the conceptions
What?
true? Are the conceptions true?
The ontology or the description?
Are conceptions true?
The ontology or the description?
However you interpret that to be, are conceptions true?
Bro, you have to let me know what you mean when you use the words that you're using.
You
This
use
is
the
what I'm-
word
this
true
is
to
the
describe
intellectual
things.
disingenuous.
So
You're
I'm
being-
asking.
This is so
you use the
disingenuous.
word true to describe things, like you would say that a table is true, and I don't understand that. But in the same sense that you would say a table is true, would you say that a concept is true or a conception is true?
What do you not understand about table being true?
A table isn't
say
a
you don't
proposition.
understand. A table isn't a proposition. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. What is a proposition? Oh my goodness.
Haven't we already had this conversation? Why are we looping back?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, a proposition is a type of sentence that has a truth value. There's other characteristics we could look into specific definitions if you want, but that's like a basic.
Wait. Tables don't have a truth value?
No. A proposition will have connectives. It will have
can something
predicates. It will
exist?
have
Can something
objects.
exist and not have a truth value?
Yeah, those two things aren't the same type of. You're making a category error. Like what does it mean for a table to be true? What would it mean for a table to be
It
false?
means
Like what are
it
you talking about?
exists in reality, Blitz. That's what it means when things are true. It means they exist in reality.
Oh my god,
That's what
are you
truth is.
confusing the correspondence theory of truth with like some weird version of truth
Oh
that's just
my
like
God,
ontology?
bro. Blitz,
Like this is
Blitz,
really
this
embarrassing for you, my guy. Like
Blitz, this is
like, look,
embarrassing for you,
Look,
bro.
the correspondence
gonna
theory
lie,
of truth.
Blitz. Like, all
The
you've done is
correspondence
just,
theory
like-
of truth. The correspondence theory of truth is merely the statement that
Now he's getting
propositions are
behind.
true when they point to some fact about reality, right? But it's still
Now he's
about
being behind.
propositions. It's still the truth value still applies to propositions. It doesn't apply to the things in reality, right? Like it seems like you're like, I know that you love to say that like, oh, he doesn't know anything about whatever about philosophy, but like you should just read some, like a little bit.
Yeah, so now just to clear up this like really pseudo intellectual blunder here. Yeah, so
Okay, yeah, what's the blunder?
so propositions are going to be cashed out differently and according to a semantic domain. Depends on what like your philosophy of fact is, your philosophy of truth is. We unpack the word proposition.
Yeah, so how are you
differently.
defining
So
proposition?
Yeah, so I'll go over this like the 5th or 6th time here.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's literally no problem.
Mhm.
So from the objective idealist perspective, we just believe that the mind is the ground of all things, which is God, and we believe that all propositions or divine ideas necessarily correspond to what is real. So when we say proposition, we
What does
don't
correspond
say
mean there?
proposition. We don't take. Well, I want to unpack the definition that you can answer.
Yeah, that's why I'm
you can ask.
asking. That's why I want you to unpack what you mean by correspond.
Yeah, relates to.
So is it the same as?
correspond means it relates to. It doesn't mean
Right.
it's
So a
ontological.
proposition isn't this. So the proposition, which is the thing that we agree has truth value, right?
Propositions necessitate truth value.
Right. So that's what propositions have. But propositions correspond to things in reality, in your view. So like there's a proposition that corresponds to the table existing. But that doesn't mean the table itself has a truth value. You're getting confused by your own worldview.
Okay. So no. So this is a common like semantic blunder here you're making. The table
you can keep calling it a blunder, but you're just confused.
The table. Yeah, I mean, you can just keep coping. I can just keep repeating myself to try to explain this to someone who thinks he's a PhD, but he's not. So really simply.
Wait, do you think that I actually don't have a PhD?
I don't think you know you have one. No. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, both in the way that you understand knowledge and in the way that I understand knowledge, I know that I have a PhD. So it just seems like a weird statement to make.
So how do you know you have a PhD, Blitz? How do you know?
Under whose worldview? Yours or mine?
Well, under what? Wait, are you assuming God exists?
Because if we're working under your worldview, so under your worldview, I know that I have a PhD, right?
Well, what do you mean under my worldview? Are you accepting my worldview to be true?
Look, you accept your worldview to be true, and so if we use your worldview as the foundation for whatever, however you're producing thoughts, then you would know that I know that I have a PhD.
I mean, well, right? I don't know what you know, to be honest with you, but I mean, and yes, my worldview. Well,
you would be able to infer. You would be able to infer that I know that I have a PhD, right?
So as a
hold on, please answer the question. Please answer the question. I'm not letting you pivot. Please answer the question.
I don't know, but I can't infer anything about you, bro. Honestly, I like the way that you're speaking right now.
We kept him on for a while. He's a good. He's good. Good content. But we can only tolerate so much of the sophistry. Anyway, we have some super chats to go over. Oops, there's my shoulder. And we'll let the audience decide. So we have Double Down with the $5. This guy must live with Darth Dawkins. He's just as annoying to listen to and equally irrelevant. He's actually worse than Darth Dawkins because he's also a flat earther, which is funny. Like it's funny, sad, but funny. And then we have, sorry, I'm scrolling. We have from Virtuous Path with the $5. There's no pragmatic value in entertaining the idea that reality isn't real. I still have to pay bills either way. Yeah, that's a good point. From Dondre Ledford with the $5. Why is nobody actually trying to stay on the topic of making you a believer instead of being an atheist? Well, because they know that it's hard. That's why. From Garba Gaiman, letting the people decide to let up Q-tip, you've made me regret my support for democracy. Yeah, look, democracy is the worst. Democracy is bad, it's just better than everything else, right? That's what they say. All right, that's everything. Let us, we have half an hour, let's bring up another guest. By the way, remember to go subscribe to the new second YouTube channel. It's called Dr. Blitz Debunks, where you will be able to find that clip uploaded to the YouTube channel because it's hilarious. And Q-Top is an evergreen lolcow, if you will. Yeah, I'm sure he's still a flat earther. There's no way he would ever change his views. Actually, we can just ask him if he's a flat earther. He got back into the guest box. Do you guys wanna ask if he's a flat earther still? Oh, your super chat got skipped. Oh, I missed it. I'm sorry. You need a kick goal if you let Q-tip up. That's a good point. Okay, no. No, people are saying no. Okay, that's fine. Maxim, how's it going?
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. Do you believe in God?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, and which one would that be?
Well, I am Christian, so. Right.
Okay, that's fine. And so what would you say is the most compelling reason you could give me to believe in that God?
Well, personally, I just say that, well, actually, I'm going to avoid using that word because a lot of people associate that word with people who are being like nut jobs. So I'll just tell you the straight truth that what's happened to me.
Wait, hold on. Sorry to cut you off. So Maxim, so I understand that personal experiences can be very compelling. However, you have to understand that other people's personal experiences will never be very compelling. So if you want to give me a good reason to believe in God, your personal experience will never be it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It's kind of like telling someone else about your dreams, you know? Like, nobody ever cares about your dreams. Nobody ever cares that you had a weird dream where, like, one of your feet was longer than the other foot, and then you decided to go on a plane to minute. Like, nobody cares, right? Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny. Yeah, just kind of like the compellingness that Jesus is he's the Son of God, right? He came down to bleed and die for our sins, but other than that, he suffered what we suffer, right? Because if we're gonna hold on, he suffered what we suffered because for 40 days and 40 nights, the devil tempted him, right? He tempted him, and he went through. He was offered the world, right? He was offered the world, and he said, the devil told Jesus, I'll give you all the kingdoms of the earth if you bow down and praise me and worship me.
It doesn't sound like he was suffering. It sounds like he turned down a good deal.
Well, do you want to go to the cross?
Well, I mean, yeah, I would say that being crucified is pretty significant suffering, but that's not like
sure, right? Yeah,
that's not like there are definitely things that humans experience that he didn't experience, right?
Right. Yeah, but like the 7 deadly sins: pride and greed, gluttony. He experienced all of those, and he clearly turned them down.
Wait, he experienced? Well, look, so
he experienced the temptations of it. That's what I was trying to get.
But that's not suffering. Experiencing gluttony, experiencing pride, that's not suffering, right? In fact, generally, the people who experience those are pretty happy. I mean, they might not be happy at the end, but like, you know, they're happy in the moment, if you will.
Sure. Yeah. It's a little like short happiness. You get your little adrenaline rush. I mean, hey, I've had a lot. I'm sure everybody's had a lot of those things, and in the end, just nothing fruitful will come from it, right? Like.
Well, I mean, maybe, but like, look, and I hate to be crude, but like, you know, Jesus suffered some kind of physical pain. I imagine that crucifixion is very, very painful, but like, there are a lot of kinds of suffering that he didn't experience that other humans do.
Well, yeah, if you want to get into like specifics, but
so like he didn't suffer the way we do. He suffered some of the ways we do, but not all of the ways we do.
But if you get like the general scope of it, I mean, he was betrayed by Judas, right? We've all been betrayed by someone that we want to trust and we want to.
Okay, look, but like he wasn't like graped, right?
What? I mean, yeah, totally. He wasn't.
And so like he didn't share that suffering with like all the people who have been.
Right. Oh wait, here, give me a second. Sorry, I got my mom coming in. Sorry about that. Sorry, yeah. Can you get me back on topic? Because my mom was just looking for something in the cabinet.
Yeah. So okay, why don't I just ask you again then? What would you say is like the best reason you could give me that the God you believe in is real?
Actually, yeah, that's a great question. Well, I mean, I from what I understand, you're a man of science, right?
You could say that.
You
Yeah.
like evidence. You like hypothesis.
Yeah.
So things that I've kind of done in my own research is that, do you know a man named Flavius Josephus?
Yeah, I know who Flavius Josephus is. Yeah.
The Jewish writer, in his Testimonium Flavianum, he's met people who have seen the crucifixion, met Jesus Christ, right? And he includes that in the text.
Careful. So and this might not be what you want to hear, but
Sure.
I think that it's generally agreed amongst scholars that the Testimonium Flavianum is not entirely authentic.
That is true.
So there are definitely pieces in there that might be, but there are also definitely pieces in there that aren't.
Sure. And if I could add one more, from the Roman like Tacticus, right? Who wrote around like 115 AD.
Yep.
I think he did cite that a Christus was executed during the reign of Tiberius by the procurator Pontius Pilate, right? In the Tacticus reference.
So I'm not familiar with that word for word, but like, okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
And,
I mean, isn't Christus just means anointed one, right?
Yes, you're
and
correct.
so you know, that doesn't mean that he's saying he rose from the dead.
Okay.
Supposing that is the case. I don't actually know exactly what it says, but
right, yeah, I was just trying to give you some evidence that, because some people don't believe that like Jesus was like crucified, so I just want to give you a little something over there.
Oh, okay. So sorry, I found the text. So it says, consequently, to get rid of the report, Nero fastened the guilt and inflicted the most exquisite tortures on a class hated for their abominations, called Christians by the populace. Christus, for whom the name had its origin, suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of Tiberius at the hands of one of our procurators, Pontius Pilate, and a most mischievous superstition, thus checked for the moment, again broke out, blah, 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 and then he goes on. So he's just saying, so like they called him Christus, that's where the name Christians come from, and then he was crucified.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're completely correct on that. And I actually want to add just one more thing, more of like a spiritual sense, if you wouldn't mind. It's Jesus is there for the brokenhearted, right? That's what's said in the Bible. He is there for the brokenhearted, and it was just like an outlet for me to kind of express what kind of struggles that I went through, and I can make peace with them and turn away from them now.
Look,
and
so
I feel,
I'm not telling you that you shouldn't believe. I'm not here to do that.
Sure. Yeah.
I just am interested in why I should believe, and if there's actually a good reason for me to believe. That's all. Like if you want to believe because of an experience you had, because it's helpful for your life, as long as you don't like hurt anybody with those beliefs, I don't care. Like, you can do whatever you want.
I mean,
Free country.
Do you feel hurt right now? I want to hurt.
No. I mean, like, there are people who like take their belief in Christianity and they use it to do like horrible things, right? So like, as long as you don't do that, I don't care.
Yeah, let's not look at the Spanish Inquisition, right?
Yeah. But look, Maxim, I'm going to let you go because there's somebody I want to bring up who's been begging to come up for a while, and I don't have a lot of time.
Yeah,
is that fair?
No. Go right ahead. Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, thanks for being here, though.
Of course.
All right. So their name is Miss Potter. They claim to be an astrophysics PhD student, which is interesting. And they claim that I'm wrong. Miss Potter, how's it going?
Oh my god, thank you for letting me up. I've been
How's it going? Yeah, I know you have.
I know, I was just so frustrated because I thought, he's never going to let me up. And that guy you were talking to, it was just...
Q-Top, look, so we bring him up occasionally because he makes for really good content. And sometimes when the viewership dips low, you got to bring up the free content so that it goes. Anyway, I'm kidding, but
I get it. But I thought I'm going to have to be a little bit obnoxious in order for you to pay attention to me. I get it.
No, that's understandable. Look, I probably would have brought you up anyway because you said you're an astrophysics PhD student, right?
Oh, absolutely, darling. No, I'm not. I'm just a random person.
I was lied to. How could you? Didn't you say that in the comments?
Me?
Yeah, didn't you say that you're an astrophysics PhD student or something?
Absolutely not. I'm an artist. No, but I have a fascination in physics, and I listen to you regularly, and I'm a fan. But I'm not an astrophysicist. Maybe somebody said that. I didn't know. Definitely not me. My dad was physics. My dad's interested in physics, but no, I'm an artist.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So, just wanted to, something that you said earlier about the consciousness and the wave particle function.
Okay. Hold on. I'm sorry. I just want to. Nobody lied. You didn't lie. So there's somebody with a similar profile picture as yours, whose name was Jellybean, who said I'm an astrophysics student. You said I'm not even a physicist. Okay. So anyway, go ahead. Sorry for accusing you of something you didn't do.
No. It was you'd said. What was it you'd said? You said it was not consciousness that collapsed the wave, the wave function. It wasn't it was interaction with.
Yeah, that's the mainstream view. Yeah.
Okay, however, I would like to ask you about this. So, have you heard of the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment?
Not only have I heard of it, I made a video about it 2 days ago, or yesterday, I think.
So, okay, so it's basically the variation of the double slit experiment. So, I probably don't need to educate you, but I'm going to go through it just so you can pick holes in anything that I might get wrong. So, the particle passes through the barriers, the two slits, and so the particles pass through the barrier with the two slits, and when you add the detectors, the wave formation collapses, right? We want to see which particle, the photon or whatever particle it goes through. But when you put when the detectors were added to detect, that's when it changes and it collapses the wave function, right? So when it's modified by adding the quantum eraser, it has the ability to basically erase the sorry, I'm getting confused now. Sorry. So basically, the delayed choice quantum eraser can erase any of the information that it's detected. So it's not the detectors that collapse the wave particle function. So if those photons have gone through those holes and the eraser hasn't erased that information yet, it's got the information, and so you've got the stripe pattern on the back, but then you erase that information and it becomes the wave function again. That's like it can go back in time. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so it's confused, right? So
by deciding to erase the information in the detectors, the wave formation can be recovered after they've been detected.
Look, there's a little bit of confusion here. So you shine the photons through, maybe, and then you entangle them with something else. This is how the delayed choice quantum eraser works. You shine the photons through the double slit experiment, or through the double slit apparatus, and then you take that split photon, and then you put that through a crystal so that it splits into two photons, one that's entangled, or so that they're entangled with each other, right? That's how it's done. Now, one of those photons goes on to hit a screen. The other photon goes on, and you can use it to do whatever. You can make measurements of it, whatever. When you do this, if you don't do anything, you just get a blob. You don't get a wave pattern at all on the other screen ever. Once you take into account all of the photons, you never get a wave. You never get an interference pattern. Now, what is the case is that if you keep track of each dot on the screen and which photon it corresponded to, you can then filter certain dots so that you can filter out. You can basically kind of subtract off one interference pattern from another wave from the blob, so that in a computer later on you're left with a wave interference pattern if you throw away half of the blobs. But it's never the case that anything goes back in time. What's happening is that you shine your particles through the double slit. The one of them hits the back screen. By hitting the back screen in a certain place, it collapses the wave function of the other photon. And then the probability of that photon being measured by one of your 4 detectors changes. Because the probability or the wave function collapsed. At least that's how it works in the Copenhagen interpretation. and other interpretations, it's a little bit more clear. But the point is that it's never that something that happened to the detector is affecting what happens on the screen. The screen causes the collapse of the wave function, and then that changes what happens at the detectors later.
I'm sorry, I'm not following. I'm sorry. I think I'm just not following it.
You should go watch my video on it. I posted it yesterday.
I would like to watch your video on it. Yeah, I'm just not, because all of the things I've said, that's always been an enigma to me, because by seeing the documentaries, the videos I've seen, it would suggest that somehow, it's time travel.
So if you talk to physicists, and so the reason I made the video is because 2 weeks ago, a guy made a viral video about this. And it was a really well done video, except he got all of the conclusions wrong. He had really good animations, and it was really well done, really well explained, except his conclusions were wrong. He didn't understand the physics. And it went super viral. It got 1 million views. So I'm like, okay, so I had to make a video to kind of correct the views and explain what's really going on. So I did. The consensus amongst physicists is that there's no backwards causation. The consensus amongst people who make physics videos, well, that's a much different story.
So they do it for attention and for clickbait.
No, I don't think it's attention for clickbait. I just think that they don't know.
Right.
They don't know better.
It's just from what I've seen, it would look that way. That's the sort of obvious conclusion that you know the layperson would come to, given what they're saying. You know,
It's so you wouldn't. If you so generally people don't explain it well. They explain it as, oh, you decide to detect this something and then something changes on the screen. But that's not what happens. What happens is the screen records what the screen records. It's just a blob. But if you decide to filter your blob based off of what the other things detected, like in a computer,
So what do you mean by blob?
So what I mean, so like you'll have the photons hit the back screen. It'll just be like one big blob. There's no like wave pattern.
There's no wave pattern.
No, it's only once you filter that data that you can see a wave pattern.
Right, but the point is it doesn't break the wave function. Like
No, the wave function collapses when it hits the
detectors.
Not when it hits the detectors. When it hits the back screen.
Yeah, but I'm not following. I think I need to watch your video because for me it's like, okay, the photons go through, the detectors detect.
No, but they hit the screen first, right? So there's two photons. There's the one photon that goes to the screen, and then there's the other photon that goes to the detectors.
Mm.
So the photon, whichever one happens first, that's the one that causes the collapse of the wave function.
But it's the things that I've seen, it's saying that, well, once that information's erased, then it becomes a wave formation again.
Yeah, that's the mistake. So again, in the standard interpretation of quantum mechanics, which is what you're referring to with these wave function collapse stuff, in the standard interpretation, the photon hits the, so it's called a delayed choice because you choose whether you want to filter after the photon has already hit the screen, right? So imagine that your photons split off. You have one photon that's headed towards the screen, and then like 10 minutes later, because the path is very, very long, the other photon hits the detector. So because the one photon hits the screen first, that causes the collapse of the wave function. It collapses the moment it hits the screen. And that will affect which detector the photon on the other end gets picked up by.
So it's causational because the first photon hit the screen first, and then
Yes.
that causes. Okay. But why, when the information is erased, does it become a wave pattern again, or does it?
It doesn't. It doesn't do that. What's happening is that when you look at only those photons, that essentially what you're doing is when you look at only those photons that interfered in a particular way, on the other hand, that corresponds exactly with those photons in the blob that only appeared in the stripes. So you're basically filtering out all of the non-stripes by looking at just those photons that could have detected things that landed in the stripes.
I think I need to watch your video to process this properly. I'm going to say it's a bit too much information in one shot. Well,
by the way, and so my video is quite short. It's only 3 minutes long. If you want some more detail, there is a. If you look up Sabine Hosenfelder, do you know who she is?
How do you spell that?
It's Sabine.
S-I-B
S-A.
S-A.
Sabine. And then Hosenfelder is Hossenfelder. So if you look up Sabine Hosenfelder on YouTube and you look up delayed choice quantum eraser, she actually has a fairly good video on it. I generally think most of her videos are actually, well, her recent videos are not very good, but this video is from a few years ago and it's actually quite good. So I would recommend that just as a good explainer as to what's actually happening and how there's no retrocausality. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting topic, and it's definitely confusing, and it can I can understand how it's very easy to not follow what's going on in the delayed choice quantum eraser. But I promise there's nothing happening backwards in time.
There's nothing happening backwards, because that was
nothing
the thing
happening backwards in time.
Really, because that would suggest that it isn't the detectors causing any. It would suggest that it's nothing to do with the detectors at all, right? That's what I was kind of going with, like. You know, if it was the way that the things that I've seen, then it would say, well, it doesn't make any difference if the detectors are there or not, because once the data's erased, you still get the wave function type thing. And that was like, oh, that's interesting, you know? So
yep, it would be weird.
Yeah, It would be weird, and it is weird. But I will go and check that video. Where's your video, by the way? It's on YouTube.
It's on TikTok. It's just click on my profile wherever. Okay. It's like a video from yesterday or something like this.
So let's go back to what you said. So you don't believe consciousness has anything to do with the collapse of the wave particle thing? You don't think consciousness comes into it at all?
No, I don't think so. And I don't think that we have good reason to think so either.
Right. Because it's a very common belief.
It is, unfortunately.
Right. So what do you think collapses the wave?
Interaction.
Just interaction by anything?
Yeah, anything macroscopic, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me up. And
yeah, of course. Thanks for being here.
I really did enjoy that debate you did with a panel, the unapologetic somebody. I thought that was a really good
yeah. That's for those who don't know, Ian, Justin, and I, we run a weekly show on YouTube called Unapologetic. So you should go follow that. We do.
That was really
we have good times.
That one. And the
I'm
guy
glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, you were talking to a really well-educated guy with this. You were talking about the Stoics and things like that. It was like more philosophy-based, and that was really interesting. It would be great if you got more people up like that, like the last guy.
If only, I agree.
I
agree. Tell me about it.
Anyway, thank you for having me up. Okay, see you later.
Yeah, of course. Take care.
Take care, bye.
Now, she came in hot. However, she was lovely. So I think we're going to end it there, actually. Now, I actually need to get some more mods, apparently, on YouTube. But I'll worry about that later. Let me turn this off. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, and you want to see more of this kind of content, either videos or debunking stuff or live streams, whatever, and if you're 18 plus, you should make sure to join the Discord server. So if you join the Discord server, you can ask me questions. I'm there. So you can join the Discord server. It's in the link in the description on YouTube. It's in the link tree in my bio on TikTok. Also, make sure to go subscribe to my new TikTok or my new YouTube channel, which is Dr. Blitz Debunks on YouTube. It's where all of the debunking content will be. It's where all of the live stream clips will be. It's where the horizontal live stream is. So if you want to watch it on your TV and you don't want to see the vertical stuff, you can put me on your TV on that channel. So yeah, make sure to join the Discord. Make sure to subscribe to the new channel. Oh, in the Discord, I also send out announcements about all of the things that I'm doing. So you'll know where I am, what I'm doing. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow.